thing I can think of right now is spending this last night with all the boys, and I'm just gonna miss them in the offseason. I couldn't wait to come to the field every day and just hang with everybody. And I've been crying for probably an hour, so I thought I was done with the tears, but I just love these guys so much. I really so much.
In 2025, the Toronto Blue Jays made the World Series, but lost in heartbreaking fashion in 7 games to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Today, we're going to try to get some redemption, returning Toronto back to the World Series, where we're going to try to win not 1, but 2 titles to try to get one over on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We've rebuilt them 2 times before. This time going to be a little bit different, as now we build around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Every single year, we come back to Toronto saying, can we get them a title? We're going to set out a lot of goals this year with the Toronto Blue Jays simply because this organization is very good. So this year, we are going to try to win back-to-back titles like it's the 1990s. However, we're going to try to do so whilst winning 0 awards. Now, that's a challenge. That basically means we need to be adding players that are in the 80s to 90 range, but never great enough to be able to win an MVP or a Cy Young. However, we also need to find Vladimir Guerrero Jr. a sidekick, a multiple-time All-Star, maybe a 90-plus overall to put beside him after Bichette left. We can only draft and scout international players, and within that, we have to add 3 Canadians to our Canadian baseball team. In addition, just like Ernie Clement, I know he wasn't a Rule 5 pickup, but there's really not minor league contracts. We had to develop a Rule 5 pickup into a starter and a good player on this roster. Now, this will be the last rebuild that we are going to do, starting with default rosters. Until I start to see big holes in rosters, I don't necessarily make a lot of changes, and while I've seen some minor issues, I haven't seen anything huge yet in MLB The Show 26. And so that gives us a fun roster and a fun pitching staff to be able to use, and a team that could contend for a World Series this year. Considering the game still sees Trey Savage as a prospect, once he is gone, this team doesn't have a lot of prospects to look forward to. We have been excited about the potential of Arjun Nimala for a little bit of time, but so far in any rebuild, I have not seen him develop. Year after year, Ricky Tiedemann is another player who always looks like a high potential guy, but never really performs in MLB The Show. And so much of our farm system is going to be built around JoJo Parker, a last year's first round pick, who I think could be valuable, but I don't know, he's defensive first. We've only seen that work 1 time. That means we're going to spend a lot of our time focused on scouting and developing our talent. Our scouts are going to be built around discovery and this Benito Singh to start off, but I found just an amazing scout in Nolan Nair to start off this year. So we're going to be focusing on scouting, getting our international guys in. That should help build up our farm system, which could mean down the line, once we start to get to 2029, 2030, this team isn't completely gone. Now, I will put a caveat to one of our challenges, and that's the no awards. I can't really make Vladdy not win awards, and he's going to be able to perform at probably a batting title level performance. That's what we've seen so far. Maybe he'll be in MVP conversations. Obviously, we can't hinder him. I'm just more thinking we don't want to add players that can do that as well. We'll focus on this team being just Vladdy's team. But that doesn't mean that once free agents come up, we're not going to try to find somebody who could be valuable to put alongside him. We do want to find him a sidekick now that Bo has left and gone to New York. A guy that I'm hoping can be his cohort and this team is going to be Ernie Clement, a guy that I have been incredibly high on for the last 2 years and finally showed his stuff last year in the postseason. Now, he's got a couple years left of team control, but we're going to pay him as soon as possible. I would love to keep Ernie here pretty much for the rest of the rebuild. We also have to note Rookie of the Years aren't going to be something I'm going to be too worried about getting. That's not a big award that I'm considering being a problem, simply because Kazuma Akamoto could win one this year. Trey Savage could win one this year. And hey, I hope that Akamoto is somebody really, really valuable to this team in the future. But for now, it's more, let's focus on building what we have. And so that does kind of mean that this year we're going to focus on really developing around our players, getting some scouts, as we lose Santander already, but building and putting players on this team to support Vladdy. But scouting is not going to be necessarily extremely efficient because we are focused on doing this international challenge to this, where I'm going to have to find only position players who are from international countries, as well as only be allowed to scout pitching from international countries. Really limits my options. But I also think it's a good challenge fitting the Blue Jays simply because they are the only international team in the major leagues. And getting Canadians is going to be difficult, but we are going to have a lot of money in free agency this year because Springer's going to be a free agent, Gosman's going to be a free agent, Bieber's going to be a free agent, Varsho's going to be a free agent, Garcia's going to be a free agent. We've got a lot of guys we're going to have to replace. But I also can't fail to mention just how good this team and this division is going to be all this time, all 5 of us above 500, about 40 games into the season, much in part to a dominant offense currently being led by George Springer, who is in second place in the MVP race in his age 36 season, only trailing Junior Caminero. There's a few things to note having to do in this strategy where I have to go and find individual players, but doing this, I'm going to look for some players that I don't think I've ever scouted before, trying to find some traits that I've seen from other scouting guides. There are so many low overalls on this Pedro Torres guy. There's no way that he is going to end up being that bad. So, undrafted players late who might be here, these aren't even discovery guys, might be great players to add to our board later on. And I don't want to jinx it because we have been red hot in May. I'm going to jinx it now that I'm recording, of course, but and I was really looking forward to that because Kazuma Akamoto did get Rookie of the Month. It was a great May for us. So with no Barrios for 2 months, we have to decide on who we are going to go to next. And Cody Ponce is the obvious choice because he's already on the 40-man and is a 74 overall. But one player that I've always seen perform pretty well last year in MLB 25, but I've never seen him get a chance in MLB 26 is Bowden Francis, who I want to add to the 40-man, and we are going to call him up to the majors. And so while it might be a little underwhelming, Francis is going to be our number 5 starter for the next 2 months. I also brought up Eric Lauer just to be safe. I think he's technically their starter this year, but I'm just going to keep him in the bullpen. That clutch rating is just so good. And Bowden had a pretty good first start, as he did give up 2 runs in 5 innings of play. And one of the only real challenges I think we're going to have inside this series of ridiculous challenges I've given myself is finding Canadians in the draft. Jordan Doss is the top-rated Canadian player in left field, and he's not interesting whatsoever. Looking at this draft, it's not like we got a lot of great players to be top-end guys on this draft class. However, we do have pick 29, so it's not like it's going to be something where we're going to go out and find an all-star with our first pick. And the big problem was there wasn't a lot of international guys, meaning we had to do a lot of discovery, which is why so many of the guys in my top big board are non-ranked. Pedro Torres is going to be my top guy, the guy that I mentioned just being a non-ranked that looked the best, and I honestly think he is the best player in this class. It's not saying that he's not the only one. Steven Almanza is a potential first-round pick who I think could be really, really good defensively. Maybe a Dalton Varsho replacement. We've got Ramon Delgado, who's somebody who we found as well. And then for pitchers, we found a guy like Kurt Kellenberger. I don't need pitching, but it's still nice to have. There were no Canadians, really, besides the Doss guy that we saw in the draft. It's not going to be a great draft. And with Almanza off the board, it's going to make it pretty easy, as we're going to take Pedro Torres with our top pick here. I mean, I could just go... Kellenberger is technically actually probably the better pick here. I think we'll save and we'll wait on Pedro and we'll take him with our second round pick, but we're going to go Kellenberger now, just because he is the top ranked MLB on our board. And Pedro is an opt-out, and I've had a lot of those turn into injuries. So we're just going to use that for our second round pick first. Which works out as we get to our second round, and Pedro Torres is here. And we hit the jackpot with the pitching staff that we ended up getting in this draft. Kurt Kellenberger, 66 overall, 98 potential. What a phenomenal first guy to get. Add to another one, a 99 potential Cy Buteau, who we get as well. 2 gems in the pitching staff, and the other picks ended up being pretty good too. Pedro Torres is pretty far away. However, 91 potential once he ends up getting up here. Ramon Delgado is going to be an 89, and Pedro Racon also pretty good there. But those two, Kellenberger and Buteau, fantastic picks. At the All-Star break, we find ourselves 59 and 38. Top of the AL East in a very, very good division. Now, it's important to note that in this division, everybody is still in contention, though the Yankees have already started selling off. They've traded away Jazz Chisholm. But with our pitching staff being kind of rough, I would say, especially with that 5th starter until Barrios comes back, we're going to look at some of these bad teams, especially the Detroit Tigers, and try to get ourselves a 5th starter as we try to make our playoff push. And it's not like our pitching has been bad. Shane Bieber is our all-star right now, 2.29 ERA, looking like his 2020 self for this team in his last year on his deal. But we don't have any other all-stars on this team. No Vladdy, no Springer, nobody. So we might have to make some purchases, and I also think our bullpen could use some work. Jeff Hoffman has been incredibly underwhelming thus far, though Brandon Little has been really, really good. We've seen a great season from Tyler Rogers. Yimi Garcia has been pretty good, and Eric Lauer has been really good. I just don't know if I want to trust in Jeff Hoffman right now. Maybe I'd get just a better closer. And looking at the trade block, there's obviously some great pitchers. I'm not going to go after Skubal. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for us in his last year of his deal. We're going to have to give up way too much. So I'm going to go a little bit cheaper. My main target, I think, is going to be Flaherty, who's been really good so far this year. He is also in the last year of his deal, but that's going to be our main target as the Tigers aren't good. I had to give up so much more than what I wanted to give up. We had to give up Nimala and Yariel Rodriguez in order to make this deal happen. I had been doing a lot of offers for Flaherty. This is the deal. I probably should have just went for like Casey Mize. It would have been a cheaper deal. Anyways, we are going to give up 2 of our top prospects, including the number 40th ranked prospect Arjun Nimala for Jack Flaherty. And before the deadline, I got the deal done that I wanted to get done. We signed Erdy Clement for 5 years, $50 million. Basically trying to get rid of those arbitration years. And Flaherty's first game doesn't end in a loss for him, but we do get the L in this one. Another blown game by our bullpen here. But he only gives up 2 runs in 6 innings. The Tigers also sell off Framber Valdez for Jameson Taillon and Porter Hodge, so I think we gave up probably a little bit too much considering what Valdez got. But I guess that's, 3 years of team control. I think we probably got robbed on our deal. After the trade deadline, we just had a rough August, and that's going to put us only 4.5 games up on the Rays, which we had a massive lead at the trade deadline. 93 and 69, we still win our division despite the late season collapse. We will be taking on the Orioles in the division series. That late season collapse meant that we almost blew it as the Rays and the Orioles were right behind us. We also lost 2 games right at the end, where if we lost 1 more game, we might have been in the wild card position like the Rays and Orioles are. And it was a very, very tight race. All 92 win teams in the wild card. And you can see some of our division rivals here in the award race as Gunnar Henderson wins the MVP, hitting 300 with 40 home runs and 117 RBIs, beating out his teammate Pete Alonso and Junior Cabanero for the MVP. Cy Young goes to Tigers pitcher, not Tigers, my brain did it. Brian Wu, Mariners pitcher, 2.6 ERA for him. We did have Gosman finish 3rd in that race, which is awesome in his last year with us. Shohei wins the MVP for the Dodgers over Kyle Tucker. Blake Snell wins the Cy Young with the Dodgers with a 2.85. We had no league leaders as Ronald Acuna gets the batting title, hitting .332, tied with Kyle Tucker. I think Vladdy did hit .311, putting him up there. And home run crown this year, Shohei Ohtani 53, second place, Riley Green. It was a big gap. If only Jeff Hoffman had pitched to a better number. 50 saves was great, but he did that with a 4.65 ERA. Some of our bullpen issues are probably the reason why we didn't have a larger gap and maybe not have been, the 3 seed in the AL, because the rest of our bullpen was actually really good. Tyler Rogers was phenomenal this year, and most of the guys otherwise were really good. Eric Lauer was fantastic. Barrios came back 4.45, and our rotation was very good. Trey Savage was the weak link there, but he's a rookie. We'll give him some leeway. In the lineup, we had a few good performances, mainly from Vladimir Guerrero, who had .311 with 33 home runs, but only 81 RBIs hitting in the second slot. Our offense just wasn't as potent as it needed to be. We did get 20 home runs from George Springer, but not a lot of power in this lineup, and honestly, not a lot of contact for the sake of what this team is. To a point where we could look at on-base percentage and say, how did we do? 346 for Kirk is pretty good. 380 for Vladdy. 325, 323, 325, 335. Jimenez was pretty rough, but I think he probably got enough WAR there. 3.5 because of his defensive traits. 352 for Okamoto and 301 from Clement, who also wasn't good, but great defensively. So our 2 best defensive players didn't do great at getting on base, but everybody else did. So it was enough to get guys on. We just, once again, did not score a lot of runs. Santander was in and out with injuries all year as well, so one of our best power hitters outside of Vladdy was unable to play as much as I would have liked him to be able to play. Maybe just having him next year will be able to help a lot, because 918 OPS was very, very good for him. If he can put up those numbers over a whole season, maybe we'll have another productive bat on this roster. So we're going to start our run back, trying to get back to the World Series against the Baltimore Orioles, a division rival, trying to push our way through, knowing that we will have to play likely another divisional team if we end up getting to the ALCS. The East was very good, or we could have a rematch against the Seattle Mariners first to get there. With Cease on the mound, as well as Trevor Rogers of the Orioles, we ended up getting the victory 7-3 thanks to a triple and a home run by George Springer, which will lead us to Game 2 and Game 3, where we just need to take one more game off the Orioles. Gavin Gausman versus Brady Singer, and Trey Savage versus Shane Baz in Game 2 and Game 3. Let's just take it in Game 2 so we can advance to play Seattle this year, please. We do lose. Our offense has been a little bit anemic this entire last half of the season, and the Brady Singer pickup for the Orioles was enough to get the victory. So Game 3, Savage on the mound, trying to advance back to the ALDS to face off against the Mariners for a second year in a row. We do get the victory. In a rematch of last year's ALCS, our Toronto Blue Jays are going to have to go into Seattle for a 5-game series, try to advance back to the ALCS ourselves. Now, our team has been really rough this year, but we're going to be starting off with former Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber versus this year's Cy Young Award winning Brian Wu in what will likely be and was a pitching duel between the two pitchers, as Shane Bieber gave up only 1 run, but Brian Wu gave up none, as we gave up a home run to Jazz Chisholm in Game 1, giving the Seattle Mariners a lead in Seattle. We go to Jack Flaherty versus Logan Gilbert in Game 2 in Seattle, trying to get, having our purchase this year's deadline, get a win. Everybody else is getting wins from theirs. Can we get one from ours? We cannot. 4-7 losses. Flaherty gives up enough runs for 9.64 ERA and 4 2/3. We lose both games in Seattle, needed to win one back in the Rogers Center in Toronto. We are unable to, as we get swept by the Mariners and are unable to make it back to the World Series. And those Seattle Mariners do get the AL a victory as they take down the Dodgers in the 2026 World Series after defeating the Tampa Bay Rays in 7 games to get there. Dominic Canzone won the World Series MVP for the Mariners, Brendan Donovan the ALCS MVP, and Tommy Edman the NLCS MVP for the Dodgers. We're going into this offseason with a lot of free agents, the big ones being Varsho, Gausman, Flaherty, and we did re-sign Shane Bieber as well as signing Ernie Clement earlier. There wasn't a whole lot of moves that I thought made a lot of sense for us to do long term. I will likely offer a deal to Dalton Varsho, as he's been very consistently very good and had one of his best seasons of his career this year. But I'm not sure if there's any other players that I'm really willing to spend a lot of money on. Gosman is already at 36. Now, we are going to try to still bring some guys back, Varsho and Flaherty being the two guys I'm thinking about possibly bringing back, just as there's not a lot of options. There are some at the top end, but I don't know if I'm willing to spend the money on what would be a qualifying offer for any of these top guys, even though I really would like Trevor Rogers to add to this team. Maybe we'll look at another pitcher later down the road, maybe a Zach Gallen if I want to spend a little bit more money, or if I want to go a little bit cheaper, we could go with a Bassett's a little old, but we could go with one of these guys a little bit lower if we wanted to. Could work on the bullpen, and the rest of the lineup, because we have Davis Schneider and Addison Barger and Nathan Lucas, I don't necessarily know if I need to invest heavily into getting a lot of players. We're not going to bring Springer back, but we'll see if there's anything of intrigue. And there's no Canadian, sadly. I don't think that's available. That's like a possible pickup. What's crazy is that our last rebuild, where I wasn't even trying to do this, we ended up having a bunch of them, as Denzel Clark is a Canadian and Liam Hicks was a Canadian. I can't get Denzel Clark. He's an untouchable. So we'll see what we can do. There's not a lot of Canadian MLB players in baseball right now. We are able to keep Varsho long-term, 5 years, $23 million per year. And we're able to keep Flaherty for a pretty good deal, getting him for $18 million a year instead of his $24 million that he wanted. Until we are able to find our Rule 5 pickup that we're going to turn into a starter, we're going to spend a lot of years every year just taking guys in the Rule 5 draft who I think could be potential decent players for this roster down the road. I've already seen some guys be pretty good inside this draft, as Quinn Matthews went really high, and John Kenzie Noel already went pretty high. To me, Ryan Clifford seems like the best fit here. He is a potential starter and a top prospect in the Mets system. He's their 9th best prospect. I'd be willing to take him just to put him on our bench, and I think that'll be our position player. Maybe I'll get out another bullpen arm, but that's the main guy we're going to add. Per usual, we have jumped up to the number 2 ranked farm system after this past year's draft, with Torres, Rincon, Kellenberger, and Buteau all jumping up into our top 5 over JoJo Parker, with Buteau and Kellenberger being the number 1 and number 2 prospects in all of baseball. Pedro Rincon there at 16 and Pedro Torres down at 26, which does push JoJo Parker all the way down to 59. Now, we didn't make a lot of changes this season, as we just brought back Flaherty and Varsho, and we brought in Ryan Clifford to be a Rule 5 pickup. I also brought in Connor Wong as a backup catcher. But the big thing is I did go and get 2 long-term deals for some Canadians who I'm excited to hopefully see up here next year. They're both in the minors right now. I don't know why it's not on this list, but Edward Julian is a Canadian. And then we also went out and got Soroka, who is a starter or reliever, but we're going to have him probably in the bullpen, hoping that those 2 will add to our Canadian total of 3 players now with Vladdy there, but I want more. 1 month into the season, player of the month, Ernie Clement. He's at 356, which is good enough for 2nd place in our division, which is awful now for some reason. I don't know why, but hey, we've won 2 in a row. Longest winning streak in the division this year. We have been awful this year. And I mean, 27-32 isn't awful, but it's been pretty bad. Our offense has taken a dip and our pitching staff has taken a dip. Thankfully, the rest of our division is awful because we're only 2 games out, but this is not acceptable. Some of our biggest culprits are Anthony Santander is just 215, 631 OPS. This is terrible and not what we were expecting after his decent season last year off the bench. And a player who I thought had been performing and maybe coming up after a 26 home run season last year, thought, hey, maybe this guy will be a contributor to this team. Davis Schneider right now has been horrible. Again, 2 guys that are just really, really bad for us. At least he's not terrible defensively. It's to the point where I start to ask my question of whether or not Juan Yepez, one of the guys that I love to have, got an 820 OPS down in AAA. He's a terrible defender, but could he just come up and play Santander's spot? And so we're going to make a deal here, getting Will Vest and Porter Hodge, two really well-performing bullpen arms. Getting rid of Bowden Francis, who I really like, but I just need the roster spots. And Jeff Hoffman, who has been terrible. We need an improvement on our bullpen, and this will allow me to make a few changes, including calling up Canadian reliever who is pitching really good in AAA, Michael Soroka. We decided to make a big trade. We are going to get Cade Smith, one of the few Canadians in the league. I saw he was on the trade block for Cleveland as he's just having a bad season right now. And I wanted to take advantage of him while he's at the cheapest value possible. And we're going to bring him to Canada, giving up Pedro Rincon, who is one of the top prospects in baseball, number 14 on the top 100, as well as Leo Jimenez and Tyler Rogers. I just needed to give up another reliever because I can't put anybody and send anybody down. So I'm going to bring Cade Smith in. Rogers has got to go. Makes the most sense. He's the oldest guy. We've got a really good young bullpen now and a great closer. Cade Smith is going to slip into the setup role, I think, for now. He's just having a bad year, and I'm not going to put him in a bad situation. Or maybe I will. He's got 20 saves. Yeah, we could just put him in the closer role. Brendan Little's been playing really, really well, but we just got a better closer now, and that gives us a lefty in setup. And the rest of our bullpen has been really, really good. It's the rotation that has been brutal. Cease has been awful. Savage, okay. Flaherty, awful. Barrios, awful. It is Shane Bieber and a bunch of just garbage. But despite that, we remain only a half game out in the division, and now the only team with a positive run differential. I have not been showing much of this draft class, and that is because this might be the worst draft class I have ever seen in an MLB The Show, partially due strictly to our constraints that we have put inside our place of only being able to get international guys, because there's only one guy ranked inside the top 20. That was an international player, Will Wiseman. He's ranked number 1. Okay, it's a little disingenuous, but there is actual other players that are. Cleveland Smith is, but he's ranked number 3 or 4. I'm not going to get him. Roger Curry is, but he's ranked number 15. Maybe we'll get him, but he's not the type of prospect that we'd ever really see. Maybe this is the year we just take a risk and see if there's some sort of weird type of prospect that exists, like a god prospect, because we haven't seen one yet this year. There are even some Canadians that are in this draft, but I didn't see any that were like, oh, I need to get this guy. I need to get him, because so many of them had that really high potential and high overall. So you have no idea whether or not they're actually going to develop, because they probably just won't. So you know what? I kind of have to decide between just a ridiculous prospect as we get to our pick here, where the top guy on our board that we still have left is Roger Curry, and he's here, and I didn't scout him. I don't think he's going to be good. Look, there's other guys like this too that I like. If this guy was good, that would be awesome. There's no way the game would ever generate a prospect like that. We're going to take the risk. I don't think this guy's going to be good, but the contact presence stats are unusually low. So maybe. And in the second round, we still get probably the actual top prospect that I would have taken, that I think was the best guy that I scouted, Howard Cortez, who is, by the way, a Canadian. So we got a Canadian in our second round pick. And the draft class, respectively, wasn't good. It's kind of what I thought it would be, but man, it's bad. Our best player here was Quinn Bliss. I mean, there's not a single thing to look out of this draft and be like, this is great. Nothing in this class. So there's one caveat I have to give to myself as a mistake here. Victor Gonzalez is a guy that I scouted, and he was a non-ranked. I just scouted him because I thought, hey, he's got up to 99 potential. He had some really, really low statistics. That traditionally means that, hey, this guy should be better. We scouted him for 3 weeks, and he was still non-ranked 155, something like that, and his potential didn't look that high. Well, he ended up having a ridiculous 93 potential at a 54 overall. This looks pretty much very similar to the guy that we drafted last year in Pedro Torres, but this time I didn't take him, and I should have. At the All-Star break, we've fallen in the race. We're 2 games behind the Rays at 44 and 53. But we do get a bunch of all-stars. Shane Bieber is an all-star with a 2.69 ERA and a 110 whip. Really good season for him. And we get all-stars in Vladimir Guerrero, who's hitting 328 with 15 home runs on the season, and Ernie Clement, who's down to 308. But, I mean, he's been phenomenal this year. You know, my love for Ernie Clement. 4.2 WAR at the break. So after the trade deadline, we are really struggling, and it's the starting pitching and the rest of our lineup. I think I just got to give a shot to some guys in our minors. Like, look, we're hitting 272. We've got a good offense. Our just starters are bad. Maybe Tiedemann should get a shot over Barrios. Problem is, I don't have roster spots. The bullpen is really good. It's the starting rotation is bad. And I'm not going to cut Jose Barrios. But at this point, I don't know what else I can ask from Ricky Tiedemann. I hate wasting his service time by bringing him up as early as we do. But this year, we got to make the playoffs. This team has to be a playoff team. We're going to call him up now. We just need a spark. Same thing goes in the lineup. I'm going to add Juan Yepez back to the 40-man roster. I'm going to bring him up just to be a bench bat that's more productive. Clifford's been pretty good off our Rule 5 pickup this year. I love it. I think we might have found our Rule 5 guy here. But I just need some more offense. Edward Julian's a good pick too. He's also playing very, very well. I'm going to save him for one more year. We're going to call him up next year because I'm not sure on Okamoto or Jimenez right now. 7 innings and 11 strikeouts for Ricky Tiedemann in his debut. He threw some gas, and this team, I'm hoping he can kind of jumpstart them a little bit. Guys, offensively, we're so good. It's just a question of, can this pitching staff do enough? And Tiedemann hopefully can be that spark plug. I mean, at this point in the season, we are 1, 2, and 3 in the batting title race with Vladdy, Kirk, and Clement, our 3, pillars to this roster. Or not. Never mind. Literally right after 2 months, he's out. All right, never mind. I think this season's just cursed. With 1 month left to play, we're somehow still not out of it, as we are 3 games behind the Yankees and Orioles at 64 and 75. Technically, the Red Sox aren't out of it either. It is crazy how bad our division is, and none of us would even be in the wild card race, even if you were leading this division. That's how bad the AL East has been this year. To really have a chance here, I think we would need to beat Baltimore, at least split this series. But if we could win this series, maybe we'll have a shot. Same thing goes against the Tampa Bay series. We have a set kind of easy schedule left on the rest of our season. Not a single team left is above 500. I guess the White Sox are, but we're not either. So game 1, okay, we win that one against Arizona. Just give me a series win on Baltimore, please. Okay, 1-1, 2-1. We might have a shot. But Vladdy breaks his arm with 2 weeks left. He is leading the batting title race. I think he'll still be able to get it just based on eligibility as long as he holds that number. And so now losing Vladdy post that injury, it's Tampa Bay we have to chase now, who we do have 2 series against. Can we take them down? In Tampa, we get a win. Just win the series. Fuck, Cade Smith. Come on. Okay, we won the series. We still got a shot. We're 2 games out. Game crashed and reset. And hey, we won 5 games in a row. We finally got a series sweep. But it's Tampa. We're tied 77 and 79, but we're both a game behind the Yankees, who I believe just swept Baltimore. And they have Boston and New York left. Oh my God. All right. Okay, we have to win this series at least 2-1 against the Rays. Bieber versus Pepio. Game 1, this is the best shot. 1-0 victory. Savage versus Keller. We win again. That's 7 in a row. We're a half game behind the Yankees. Oh, but we lose. Okay, we're still a half game behind the Yankees. 3 games left. It's all tied up. We're not gonna watch individual. We're gonna see if our fate. The Red Sox are the worst team in baseball. 3 games. Maybe if we win 2, it'll be enough. Flaherty versus Early. come on. You can't lose to Boston. Cease versus Crochet. Oh, no. Please, I hope that the other team's lost. We get swept by the Red Sox to end it, and they gave us a chance by beating the Yankees twice, but the Yankees sweep the Mets. We missed the playoffs. Maybe losing Tiedemann and Vlad, and I think Porter Hodge went down at the end too. Might be a little too much. But the batting title doesn't go to Vlad. It goes to Ernie Clement, who gets the title. Cal Raleigh wins the MVP for the Mariners with 47 home runs. Brian Wu gets the Cy Young for the Mariners as well. Shohei Ohtani with the MVP, 65 home runs from Ohtani. And Framber Valdez with the Cubs wins the Cy Young there. Batting title, number 1 Ernie, number 2 Vladdy, number 3 Kirk. What a great season from our offense. Our pitching staff is so bad. Ernie leads the way in doubles, batting average, and hits. 333 on the season with just a phenomenal season. 224 hits. That's great. 59 doubles. Ernie, oh my God, 891 OPS. Yeah, he's not a lot of power there, and he doesn't walk like at all. But what a crazy amount of hits from Ernie, who gets, because he's a great defensive, 7.9 WAR. This guy was on a minor league contract back in 2023. 7.9 WAR. That's better than Bichette has ever done. We might have found a replacement already, because Clement is not only hitting one. First off, Bo Bichette's high is 191. This is 224, but the big problem with Bichette is he didn't play defense, and that's a gold. He didn't win a Gold Glove this year. Okay, I was gonna say that's a Gold Glover, but apparently he doesn't win one this year. But yeah, we found our guy. I just wish our pitching staff could have done anything to support those 3 great hitters. The bullpen was all right. We had some fantastic pieces like Will Vest, Cody Ponce came up and played a little bit at the end of the season. Brandon Little wasn't good. Kate Smith was bad. Lauer was great. I know the guys that got sent down were great, and Porter Hodge had a great season. But in the rotation, Cease was bad. Shane Bieber was amazing. Savage was all right. Barrios ended up putting it somewhat together, and Flaherty was bad. Our rotation was awful. And outside of Clement, we didn't get a lot of production from like a lot of the other guys. They ended up having a pretty good offensive season. Connor Wong, 267 off the bench. And we really got to work on these bench bats. Clifford, yeah, he did not do a good job of replacing Vladdy. Barger at 266 with 23 home runs, 31 from Santander, but he ended up putting it together. 24 from Varsho, playing elite defense. How much WAR did he rack up? 6? That's a great season. Okamoto, 286 with 24 homers. Not great from Schneider, but that's all right. Jimenez is a great defensive player. We were good. And Vladdy, he ended up with 177 hits, only 20 home runs, but he had 330. He had a 940 OPS this year. He was putting together a really good season before he broke his arm. But the A's go on to defeat the Cubs in the World Series. We're going to have to do some work this offseason. I don't really know what to do. Like I said, the offense was great. We dealt with injuries near the end of the season. That hurts. The pitching staff needs work. A lot of work, really. Going into free agency this year, I don't really know. There wasn't any interesting players, and I think we just run it back and see Tiedemann will be back, and we'll just start him in the rotation. And there's nobody in the lineup I really significantly want to replace. Everybody played well outside of maybe the whole Davis Schneider, Addison Barger thing, but that's still kind of just a platoon. So it's not like it's really that bad of a deal. And, I could have Juan Yepez play there. We could have Ryan Clifford play there. So I don't think I'm going to spend money. But we are going to make a trade for a guy who's in arbitration eligibility, and he fits a lot of the mold of what I want to be able to bring into this team. Otto Lopez is a great defensive player and got great contact and ability to get on base. I think that's kind of the key mold to this team. So we're going to have him play shortstop. That does make Andres Jimenez expendable, and I think I might move off of him anyways. Or Lopez could play second base too. We could do that, and I could just move Ernie over to third base, his true position anyways. It was a counter deal. They did offer Ramon Delgado, who I don't really want to trade, but he's a 58 overall. I don't think we're going to see him play, as well as Roger Curry, who we just drafted. It's fine. We'll do this deal to get a shortstop just to help this team get a little bit better. And we're running up close to our budget, so we should probably sell off on somebody. We are just going to turn Ernie over to third base. His secondary position is infield. He can play third base, and he played third base all last year. We'll just make him our third baseman. Otto will be second. Jimenez will be short. That means that Schneider and Barger can just platoon out in the outfield. We'll get rid of Miles Straw on a salary dump, as well as Cody Ponce. Going to the Rule 5 draft this time around, we're going to end up picking up a Canadian. Dante Nori is going to be probably the best guy that I think is on the board here that makes sense as a long-term potential investment. Him and maybe Benny Montgomery. Maybe we'll grab both of them because we do need outfielder depth. I mean, obviously we said we're playing Barger and Schneider, but I did let all of the rest of our depth go. Whoa! That's a huge deal. I know he must not have a lot of years left on his contract, and I know Alec Thomas doesn't either. But they're giving up on Riley Green already? Looking to redeem ourselves this year, we are going into it with a healthy Vladimir Guerrero, with a new second baseman in Otto Lopez, and hopefully a healthy and productive pitching staff. Thankfully, Ricky Tiedemann was able to protect his rookie eligibility due to the injury he faced, but it's not necessarily going to matter if we don't get better this season. Cade Smith gotta be better. Brandon Little gotta be better. Flaherty gotta be better. Cease, oh my God, you are a terrible contract if you were going to play like you did last year. Gotta be better. This is going to be a big year for us. I think this team is really, really good. So we have to produce. And look, I don't expect Ernie to be able to produce at the level that he did last year. That was ridiculous for him to do what he did last year. But getting a decent amount of production offensively will be just enough if our pitching staff is even average. That fails to consider the fact that we still have a ton of prospects that we have the ability to trade away if we need to. We are the #1 farm system in all of baseball, despite me selling off a lot of assets. Something I don't normally do in rebuilds, but it felt a little more prudent with this team that is pretty competitive. And Kellenberger could come up soon already. I don't know if I trust him yet, but he pitched really, really well last year, and he is the #2 prospect in all of baseball. So there's a good chance we can have him up. JoJo Parker could come up if he can develop his offense, but I'm just excited for the chance to be back in the playoffs. But I think it's just going to depend once again on if our pitching staff can perform this year, which is going to be pretty, like, I don't want to say essential to it because I feel like that's really underselling it, but this pitching staff is a bunch of 80 overalls. They're a little bit older, but they should all be generally productive. So it's not necessarily an issue when we, say, lose a guy. Like, oh my God, we lost 2 guys in 1 game. But when we lose a guy, we have high overalls. And if 80 overalls, I guess, aren't enough, then I don't know. We're just going to get prospects in. Actually, look, I've got a Canadian who might be a good player. I'm excited for that. Maybe we'll be able to add him to the top of our board. But we're really just trying to add prospects here in the sense for scouting now, international guys, because I think they're all trade pieces for more pitching, because we might have to flip them. We might have to take Barrios, Flaherty, and flip them into something else. And maybe I have to throw something along with Cease to get him off of him. I don't like him. It's just incredibly consistent. Like, he is consistently going to give up runs on almost every opportunity he has. And this is something that's happened in all MLB The Shows. This isn't necessarily a new thing to it. Dylan Cease is not that good in this game. One of the only reasons I didn't overreact to it right away is because he had a pretty decent season in 2026. The whip is really high, but we have such a good defense that his FIP should not be a problem. Why is he so bad? He just gives up so many runs. Oh my God, we are made of glass right now. If Santander goes down, we just lost Dante Nori. What is happening? I'm rambling. I'm going on and on and on, and I know that I normally don't talk this much, but we have a 4.95 ERA. At some point, you just got to say, get rid of everybody. And I don't know, it's Lauer's been good and Soroka is good. Actually, the whip's pretty bad. But like Bieber 434, but a 102 whip is really, really good. Flaherty is kind of. Maybe we're just saying because it's early in the season. Well, let's last 2 months and then we'll make some decisions on pitching. That's it. Firing the pitching coach. Goodbye. Give me somebody else. Not a lot of great options, but I guess we'll just do this one. 2 years. I don't know if I really like him. We'll see if we can find somebody better if this guy's not good enough. And just like that, we rattle off 7 straight wins. Okay, so it ends up being a good month for us as we have to, replace our pitching coach and actually have a decent pitching staff, but we're still 8.5 games out, despite being the best offense in our division. In fact, if you look at batting average, we are currently the #1 batting average in the league, mainly because Otto Lopez is currently leading the batting title race for us this year. We obviously aren't necessarily #1, but we're up here in all the categories of offense. But in pitching, yeah, 26th with Shane Bieber with a 3.71 being our ace, and Dylan Cease the 6.42 right now. Oh my God, the injuries this season. So we're going to call up our Canadian, Edward Julien, who is going to come up to the major leagues. He's been playing really, really well in AAA. I just haven't had him up because I wanted to play the other guys, and now he's just going to have to play second base because I don't have one otherwise. I can bring up Peyton Graham or JoJo Parker, but let's just use the guy we already have on the 40-man. Also, Dylan Cease is down to a 7 ERA. He is going to the bullpen. The season's not going well. I'm hoping that whatever we can end up getting in this draft can help really supplement this team because we need it. And Jack Connell is going to be the top guy on my board easily. If he is there when we get our pick at pick 14, the Canadian center fielder is the perfect guy to add to this roster as he's just an all-around great player, and we just need more talent. If he's not there, there's a couple other guys. There's some first basemen I like Guillermo Casto and Joe Parker. There's some pitchers I like as well, though we don't need more to the system. Whatever it is, we're still being limited by the fact that we can only get international guys. When we get to our pick, nobody that we had on our board is gone, which means we are going to be able to take Jack Connell, who I think is going to be one of the top guys in this class. I'm actually happy about that too, because there could be some generational talents in this class that I didn't scout and I have no idea on. I actually think this class looked pretty good, just not in the international field. So, Jack Connell, welcome to Toronto. You're already Canadian. You're already here. I just spent a good 2 minutes looking around for players in our second round, and while I still have some guys that are non-ranked that are available, I'm going to take the risk here. So one of the techniques to look for prospects that I think could have a higher level of the potential range is when you see extremely low present ratings. Now, I don't like that this guy is opted out, but there's no way. I've never seen a prospect that had 7 contact or 4 vision or 5 power. Those will probably be on the higher end, meaning his potential will probably be on the higher end. Now, if he's injured, that's going to hurt, but, Canadian. Let's do it. Marty Diaz. That's a much better looking draft than we've had in a little while, and I'm not saying we hit every single pick here. I didn't have a lot of guys scouted. You can't scout as many as you'd like when you're focusing on only one region. So Jack Connell ends up being a stud. This guy is going to be really, really good, great defensively, really fast. I don't like his hitting. His contact stats are really low. I'm afraid of that a little bit. So he might sit in the minors a little bit longer, but he's already a 72. So he's already a pretty good player and a 97 potential. This could be a really, really, really good defensive player. Kind of our next Dalton Varsho. He's 23, but whatever. Marty Diaz, Canadian, 88 potential. Julio Costa, 89 potential, was actually pretty decent. He's a little further away. Gonzalez and Franco missed. This one was a bad miss, but this is also round 5. We're just kind of guessing at that point. Then Guadalupe Taveras, not bad, 92 potential. At the All-Star break, we are above 500 at 49 and 47. We did just lose a couple games in a row, so we're 5.5 games out of the East. But we still have a good shot of a playoff team as we're 2.5 out of the wild card. I think that we could make the playoffs if our pitching can perform in the latter half of the season. That is going to really, really depend on a lot of our guys. Maybe we need to make a deal here and try to ship off somebody and just get a deadline pitcher. Or I could just send Dylan Cease to the Shadow Realm because we only have 2 All-Stars this season. It's Cade Smith, who is doing okay. It's not great, but honestly, whatever. It's Cade Smith. We have him in to be our closer. And Alejandro Kirk, who's having a great season, actually, at catcher. We've had a couple guys who are having great seasons. And offensively, I like this team a lot. If we can stay healthy, I think we'll be okay. It's just this pitching staff is still terrible. The other thing we have to think about is that Kellenberger is 100%. He is ready to come up at the major league level. He's got the right stats, but I don't know if I want to bring him up. Just to be safe, I think we won't. He's gone up already 3 overall this season around the deadline, and if we can make him get to like a 77 by the time we get to the end of the season, maybe we can bring him up in September if we need him, and then we'll just have him up next year. Either way, we do need to have some work done in this pitching staff. I wouldn't mind seeing if I could combine a pitcher with some prospects and turning that into a better pitcher. It's not like there's a lot of options, but I mean, when we're considering this idea, this is something that like the Brewers have done in the past, or actually I think the Padres have done it to the Brewers, I think with a Hader deal, where what you do is you take a guy that you think is still going to be decent, like a 5th pitcher, and you trade it on top of some prospects and turn it into a top-end prospect or a top-end pitcher. Maybe that'll be good enough. Christopher Sanchez, I think the guy that I'm going to target, as he's the best pitcher on the market. I don't really like Zach Gallen, so we might do that, especially if the Phillies are selling off. So if the Phillies are selling off, I think that's the deal we got to look for. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Sanchez is going to be expensive. If not, I don't really see any other pitchers here that are Casey Mize. We should have just done that deal for him 3 years ago. The problem is trade value. And when we take a look at the guys that we have available to us, Barrios is the one. And by the way, I don't know if I know I've been swapping between Barrios and Barrios. I think it's Barrios. But Barrios has been one that I think could be that piece that I'd be willing to move off of. But he's in the last year of his deal, and I don't know if that has much value, especially in a Christopher Sanchez trade. I don't think that's going to happen. That might be more of a Casey Mize deal. And then there's Yes Savage, who is actually a good deal. I could trade him because Flaherty and Bieber have been pitching fine. So those two I don't want to move. And Dylan Cease is a negative contract. You can't trade him. I might not be able to make this deal at all. And since Sanchez isn't going to happen, Gallen gets moved in a deal. This is a ridiculous trade, by the way. The White Sox are giving up Zach Gallen to the A's. Crazy deal for a player they just signed. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to make a deal. I don't really know if I am. I think we're just going to have to roll with what we got and probably just bring up Kellenberger in September and hope that he's enough. So we do get Casey Mize. That's the deal we end up leaning on. I got rid of Seaver King, Ethan Conrad, and Cutter Coffee, a couple prospects that I think are some decent ones. I mean, Conrad's somebody who we just got, who I thought was a decent prospect to pick up. Not like any of these guys are great, but they are decent guys, and we're going to get Casey Mize. And that's going to put Barrios in the bullpen, I guess. I don't know. I guess our staff will be the 2022 Detroit Tigers before Scooble. Just in time, because I lost Shane Bieber. Never mind to any of that. All right. Welcome back, Barrios. Welcome back. And I think the Casey Mize deal helped so much because our pitching staff is just performing just a little bit better. It's all we really needed because we are now tied at the top of the AL East, though it is so close. And when we take a look at the wild card race, it is even closer. This is going to be a tight race. If we can continue to perform at this level, we can get Bieber back, we can get Jimenez back. Maybe we'll be okay. We bring Kellenberger in, maybe. I don't really need him, but we can. And we'll bring Kellenberger in. And we can make the playoffs. You know how bad the race is for Rookie of the Year in the AL? Dante Nori, Rookie of the Month, July, with a 214 average and 1 home run. So the only way he needed to get it was he just had to hit a homer, which means somehow a guy hitting below the Mendoza line, coming off the bench, is second in the Rookie of the Year race. And so as we enter the last month of the season, we are tied with the Rays. We have a series against them coming up. The Orioles have slipped a little bit because we beat them a couple times. Our offense is still performing very, very well. Our pitching staff is doing better. We're down to a 4.24 ERA, which means we're actually better than the Orioles. And the Yankees have collapsed, entirely collapsed. despite that they're only 6 games out. But when we're looking at this, I don't think I'm going to bring Kellenberger up because I saw his ERA going up at the end of AAA, and I'll just bring him in next year. That way we don't mess up his service time, as well as because I got a bunch of guys on the IL, and I'm just going to bring those guys back in. Santander's gone for a while. Bieber should come back this month. Jimenez should come back this month. So I don't want to mess up a bunch of, call-ups, call-downs, options being used if I can avoid it. But we turned this season around, going 93-69 and winning the AL East. We got to give a lot of credit to that pitching coach and the Casey Mize deal for flipping this team, because we went from like a 4.9 ERA to a 4.15, ending up taking this division, and the Rays still got in at 90 wins as well. It's crazy to see how much this has flipped. Just last season, none of us were over 500. This year, all of us are over 500. In fact, we improved our pitching staff all the way up to 13th in that time after moving basically, and switching out our pitching staff. So, middle of the pack pitching staff, number 1 offense. And another batting title goes to a Blue Jay as Otto Lopez takes it this year. Aaron Judge wins the MVP in the AL with 49 home runs, 119 RBIs. Max Fried, the Cy Young for the Yankees, who finished 5th place in this division. Kyle Stowers wins the MVP with a good for Stowers. 308, 47, and 134 RBIs leading the way, but just a basic look. I see Juan Soto has a 362 average and had the same amount of home runs. I just guessing the Mets were worse. Yeah, that's a 10-WAR player. That's the MVP. Juan Soto deserved the MVP there. And I don't remember. I already forgot that happened. But yeah, I hate the Dodgers. And no, Dante Nori did not get the Rookie of the Year. He ends up finishing 2nd. Theo Gillen, who I actually saw, he got traded for at the deadline to the White Sox. After the deadline, he played in August and September and came up, and he got 3rd in the Rookie of the Year race. So the game sent down Tiedemann, who had a 4.63 ERA this season and ended up racking up only 0.4 WAR. I thought he was going to have he put up the same amount in 2 games last year. Same amount of WAR in 2 games as he did in 32. Yeah, he was not that good this year. In fact, a lot of guys weren't that good this year, but we still had some shining moments on this team. Lauer was really good with 3.04, 1.2 ERA. Dylan Cease, when he went to the bullpen, did get his ERA back down to 6, at least. Varland, 3.98. Soroka wasn't that great. Will Vest was okay. Porter Hodge was terrible. Brennan Little was all right. Cade Smith was very, very good. So that was a good pickup. He ended up getting 45 saves this year. Casey Mize, I think, was the best pickup because he's our best pitcher that we have. 3.29 ERA with a 1.2 whip. Barrios, 5.03. Savage, 4.92. Flaherty, 3.28. And Bieber with a 3.37. So I think our rotation is going to look something like those 3, probably. And then I would love to just go 4, honestly, and just go bullpen games. So if we did a bullpen game, we can still do Cease as my opener. Hey, I got the notification for it. I got the trophy. Hey! But the lineup is the fun part, because honestly, the lineup was really, really good this year. Connor Wong, 293. He's a free agent. We're going to let him walk, obviously. Schneider, 252, was pretty good off the bench. Jimenez, 311 after he came back from injury. Juan Yepez hit 368 when he came up, but he hit like 33 home runs in AAA. So that's why I brought him up. And look how good he was this year. He might, honestly, I think what we might end up doing is we might bring Yepez back and trade Okamoto and just try to save some cash. Because Okamoto's been pretty good, 268 or 269 with 15 home runs. But I'd rather just have Yepez be my DH if I can in that position. And that would just be way better. As, look, we still have great play from Clement. Julian was pretty good this year. Lopez was great. Kirk was great. 35 home runs from Vladdy coming off an injury. This team was really, really good offensively. Maybe that'll be enough for us. And so we actually got a bye because the 93 wins this season ends up being enough in the AL East to get there. So Seattle's the number 1 seed. They're the best team in the AL. And on the other side, it's the Dodgers and Cubs. So it's the same thing that you normally see. We got to take down the Twins, though, first. And the Twins are generally pretty good with pitching. Can our pitching do enough? I think that these top 3 guys can. We just need something from Savage and anybody else in Game 5. In fact, we probably just go back to Mize. Hopefully, we just don't have to, as we're going to go Mize versus Wood Richardson in Game 1 is going to go to Woods Richardson. Flaherty versus Steele in Game 2. We are going to get the victory. Game 3, Bieber versus Bradley. Oh my God, guys. Game 4? All right, we're going to Game 5. So this is going to be a tough one. We're going to need to win this one against the Twins to advance to play Seattle again. And that's something that I feel like we had to do a couple times, and we're always going to have to do. Seattle is just that good. They really haven't made many changes to their roster. They have C.J. Abrams, I guess, on this team. Ryan Mountcastle. But this is the Twins, and it's always surprising that this team is that good in this game, but they are. So can the former Twin, Jose Barrios, get the victory over his former team, or can he just give us a couple good innings of pitching before we go to anybody else? So starting off, he walks Keishel and strikes out Buxton, strikes out Wallner, and strikes out Lewis. Good start to the game. We're going against Justin Steele in this one, the former Chicago Cub, as Ernie Clement is going to lead us off. We have Julian playing in this one and Santander in right for this game. I'm hoping that those two will be good enough. Julian already has 2 home runs this series. Clement's going to ground out to start off. Otto's going to ground out, and Vladdy is going to strike out. So nothing out of the first inning. Still technically no hits in this game until Cody Clemens gets a double on us against Barrios. Single, but he gets thrown out. Great defense helps save a run from us as Bart gets on base, a strikeout, and a line out, and we get out of that one. We are being no hit. Never mind. Thank you, Ernie. We get a 2-run shot from Otto Lopez, taking the lead 2-0. Vladdy's going to walk. Schneider's going to get on. Steele is falling apart, but we get a double play. Can Kirk get us just that extra run? He can with a single. We're up 3-0. And that is a good start. We're up 3-0. Single from Akamoto is going to lead off the bottom of the 5th. A single from Santander to get another one. They're going to go to Hunter Dobbins, but Clement's going to get a double play. Can we get an extra run, please, Otto? We can. Otto Lopez giving us a 4-0 lead. Bottom of the 6th, the Varsho with a solo shot to make it 5-0. And the Blue Jays defeat the Twins. We will advance to the next round. So we head to Seattle, T-Mobile Park, to face off against the Mariners once again. The number 1 seed this year. They defeated us last time, and we defeated them 2 times ago. This is the 3rd time that we have faced them now in the last several years, and I'm hoping that it's going to be enough, because this team is still very, very good, and our team, well, it's not necessarily. So we started the game in the bottom of the 1st, giving up a big hit to Cal Raleigh to start off the game, who gets a nice little single on Flaherty, before Josh Naylor hits a line drive right off of Jack. Does get out. Flaherty is a little bit shaken up. You can see a little injured on the foot, but Kirk walks it with him, walks it off, and Flaherty says he's okay to play in the rest of the game, which does give up an opportunity for Canzone to get a shot off just enough into space to be able to get a RBI single, and the Mariners take a 1-0 lead. But we respond pretty quickly as Vladdy hits a big shot into the gap for a double to get onto second base before Addison Barger hits a drive out to right field, or left field actually, and it gets it right over Canzone's head, who isn't able to field it, and allows Vladdy to get home on another RBI double to tie the game 1-1. With a man on second, Dalton Varsho hits a nice little line drive right down center. Julio picks it up, throws it home, but it isn't going to be fast enough, and we get Barger in to make it 2-1. Before, in the bottom of the 4th, we throw it. Canzone once again beating us as he gets it just over the field. Santander can't get there. Canzone hits a home run, makes it 2-2 in the bottom of the 4th. There's a lot of instances in this game where we ended up having just great defensive plays. Ernie Clement gets a slide to stop a single from going into the gap, and when Josh Naylor hits this line drive deep into the outfield, I thought we didn't have a chance, and Dalton Varsho just goes up and snags it. But in the bottom of the 7th, still tied 2-2, we once again give up a big shot to Dominic Canzone, who had our number today, and gives the Mariners a 3-2 lead as they bring out Andres Munoz to try to close it for them in the bottom of the 8th and then into the 9th. So Munoz struck out the last batters to go into the 9th inning, which meant that we needed to make some sort of miracle happen, and Dalton Varsho started us off by hitting another one right down the middle in center with a man on second. getting just enough space as Julio tries to throw it all the way in home and can't get it in time. We end up scoring, making it tied 3-3 after the ninth. Cal Raleigh is going to get a single to get onto base before Dominic Canzone once again hits it, but Otto Lopez quick enough to turn and corral the double play going into extras. In extra innings, Edward Julian with a big double leading us off in the top of the 10th before we get a huge hit. Connor Wong, who pinch ran earlier in the game, hits a 2-run shot in the top of the 10th to make it 5-3, giving us an early lead, or not early lead, but an early lead in the series if we end up holding on. Cade Smith in the bottom of the 10th gets the pop fly to Brendan Donovan. Actually, I think this one gets down. It does get down, getting Brendan Donovan on base before Brandon Nimmo comes up and hits a line drive. Otto Lopez. That jump shocked me once again. Great defense from this Blue Jays squad. And so against Ramon Laureano, Cade Smith gets the strikeout and we win game 1. Game 2 in Seattle was a decisive victory, not even really close, as we get a huge victory to go up 2-0, winning both games on the road before traveling to Toronto to try to kind of end this series, or at least hold our home field advantage now that we have it. And in this series, I was concerned. This is a really, really good team with a crazy good pitching staff, but I think our offense is just something special. And so while, they have great bats, they've got great players. Cole Young out there against Trey Savage leading off in this one as our first game in Toronto. We were just the better team in this series. And Game 3 started off to cement that fact. Dalton Varsho with a bomb in the bottom of the first to lead us off with a 3-0 lead right away, as Varsho was having a series before Kazuma Akamoto hits a shot right afterwards to make it 4-0. Seattle was unable to really make up anything for it, so we took a 3-0 lead in the series after winning that game 5-1. And going into the Game 4, we got a great hit from Davis Schneider to lead us off to hopefully continue this offense, for Varsho once again hit the ball into the gap to give us an early lead once again. Then Kazuma Akamoto, 3-run shot to take the lead in that one. Brandon Nimmo did respond to make it a 3-2 game, but overall, Kazuma Akamoto, just a ridiculous series. He hits another 3-run shot in the third, and by the time we get to the ninth, yes, they were trying to fight it off, but we won this game handedly, 13-5, as we advance back to the World Series. Once again, Michael Soroka ending off this game as we take down the Mariners pretty handedly, actually, in the ALCS. And once again, phenomenal offense, but mainly from Dalton Varsho, Kazuma Akamoto. What a great series from those two guys to end up leveraging us to be able to make this playoff run to the World Series. And that World Series run would start in LA, where we had our hearts broken back in 2025, as we're going to have to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, of course, are just more stacked than ever, as they have added more players than you could possibly ever imagine. Stephen Kwan, Joe Ryan, but Shohei Ohtani is going to lead off Game 1 to start them, because, of course, they still have the 99 overall starting pitcher to lead them off. But we wouldn't have to wait very long before Akamoto comes in clutch again, giving us an early lead with a big home run early in the first. Alejandro Kirk gets another one, I guess a double, in order to be able to get it. Look at him run. This is ridiculous that he actually made it to second in time, but he did. And then Vladdy hits him in on another deep shot to give us a lead. Kind of deeper lead. Shohei Ohtani did respond. He had a ridiculously good offensive first game, hitting a home run early in this one. Kyle Tucker hit a shot of his own in order to make it a little bit closer. But we had a great game. Ernie Clement gets a single late in this one, in the Game 1 of the World Series, before we had Julian hit it in, get an extra run there, and Alejandro Kirk hits another RBI to take a lead. As we're going to take Game 1 in this one, they really couldn't do much. We had Akamoto hit another home run late in the game, but yeah, the Dodgers really didn't stand a chance to just the offensive production that we have had so far, especially from our role players. Haven't seen much out of Vladdy, haven't seen much out of Ernie yet. It's really just been Varsho and Okamoto so far in this series. I don't know if that's sustainable. But with a 14-4 victory, we move into Game 2 as our bats were still alive. Vladdy gets a hit after a walk early on to get runners on the corners, before Joe Ryan against Addison Barger is going to give up a walk to load the bases. For Dalton Varsho, who didn't get much, struck out in that one, and then it led to Kazuma Okamoto, and he strikes out. So the magic is a little bit over for Okamoto, wasn't able to make much of that. We were pitching a gem, though. Shane Bieber, phenomenal this playoff run, getting the strikeout and celebrating as we get to the top of the third. Varsho hitting a ball into the gap to be able to get all the way there as Hassan Kim unable to field that correctly. Andy Pajes was injured after game 1, so he never played again. Kazuma Okamoto gets the ball down. Can Varsho get in? We see Tucker throw it all the way in, and Varsho scores to take a 1-0 lead. Top of the third, Santander finally shows up. He was in 216 before he gets this home run shot to take a 3-0 lead in Game 2 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers were able to start responding as Shohei, once again, just ridiculous bat, does get a nice ball out into the opposite field to get a triple before Mookie Betts hits a ball into center field, getting the ball down, getting them their first run. Now, we're able to do just the same thing, getting a ball into the gap on the left field side to get another double for ourselves before stealing third, and Edward Julian hitting the ball perfectly into the gap in order to be able to get another run with a ground rule double to make it 4-1 in the top of the 6th. Kyle Tucker hits a line drive down the middle in order to get a man on first and third after we had a walk for Will Smith before that. Mookie Betts comes up in the bottom of the 6th and gets another grounder out to the outfield to make it 4-2 in this one with runners on first and second. Louis Varland struggled a little bit in this series. Offensively, though, they weren't able to do much, and so we continue getting a little bit more run support as we get a man on first and second from another great hit from Okamoto late here, and Santander in the top of the 7th cements this game with another 3-run home run as we are going to take Game 2, 2-0 lead on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Going north of the border to the Rogers Center, we had a 2-0 lead. We're feeling very, very confident, but we've been in this position before. And the Dodgers knew this. They came a little bit more prepared for this series now that they were up in Seattle. And I think we might have gotten a little bit too much in our heads because this wasn't going to be, as easy as that Seattle series had been for us. And I was really hoping it was, but it wasn't, as right away in the beginning of the game, Shohei just hits a massive shot. I think it goes 465 in order to take the lead. This is 434. I might be a little bit of leading you on here of what happens later on as he does get another one in this one later on in this game. This dude was just crushing the baseball against us. Another 392 in this one later as Shohei just completely carries the Dodgers to an easy Game 3 victory behind Yamamoto. We had like zero offense in this game at all. And then as we move into Game 4, hoping that we have our victory chances, it wasn't going to be good luck for us in this one either. Kyle Tucker led off the game with a home run to start off the game before Shohei once again gets a double into the deep outfield. Varsho's a great defender. He cannot keep up with Shohei Ohtani, who does steal third before they get a huge shot from Isaac Paredes, which is going to give them a 3-0 lead in the beginning of the first inning. We really didn't stand much of a chance. Once again, could not hold off. So far, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, they have been dominating us. So in Game 5, we really needed to win one game in Toronto to hopefully protect us, and Vladdy finally shows up, hitting a 2-run shot to lead off this game in the second inning, giving us an early lead with a 465-foot bomb, or three-run lead, my bad, before we get another big home run later from Kazuma Okamoto. That one almost hit the roof in order to give us a 4-0 lead in the game. And we ended up taking Game 5 before we go to an elimination Game 6. We have been in this position before. We have to capitalize on it. We've had a great offensive series thus far. It's been a big run series, but pitching was going to start coming into play here. Sung Kim gets a single in the bottom of the second to lead it off for the Dodgers as their first hit of the game, getting second base, and then Jonah Bride with a little blooper into the gap Varsho is unable to keep up with it as Jonah Bride gets the double to get onto second base. Now, the Dodgers dealt with a good amount of injuries in this series, so Dalton Rushing was their catcher at this point of the season, or I guess this series. They lost Will Smith. He gets a double to give them a 2-0 lead. Ball is hit deep to Addison Barger to end at least the run, but we do go down 2-0 at the end of the second of Game 6 as we try to hold off and potentially win this series. After walkout, Lopez does steal second base. Great base runner for us. Actually, he stole like 6 bases this series. And so Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was able to hit a ball into the gap over to Tucker, who has to throw the ball into home and isn't able to keep up with Otto Lopez to make it a 2-1 game. Now, Song Kim once again hits the ball into the gap to get on base in the bottom of the fourth on Shane Bieber. And we were going to have a lot of runs, but defensively, this team is still phenomenal. Grounded to Vladdy, thrown right over to Lopez, who almost hits Kim in the face for turning the double play to end that threat. Shohei Ohtani, always a threat, but it doesn't matter if Edward Julian gets the diving play to get out Kyle Tucker, who had walked. And Julian responded even further, hitting a deep double, having a phenomenal top of the sixth to get on base. Look, we really needed this. Edward Julian has been phenomenal this series, and in fact this playoffs, and especially because that gets their pitcher out as they're going to go to the bullpen. Joe Ryan out of the game. They move to Emmett Sheehan, who does get out of that inning, but gives up a huge home run shot to Dalton Varsho at the top of the seventh to tie the game 2-2 in Game 6. Now, with Brendan Little on the mound against Mookie Betts, we do walk the bases, men on first and second, which does put us in a rough position as Isaac Paredes comes up to bat against Brendan Little. Brendan Little unable to get him out, but we get that phenomenal defense. Look at the little backhanded play as we get a phenomenal double play to get out of the inning before going into the ninth, and Edward Julian hitting a home run, the Canadian taking the lead in the ninth inning, giving us a chance, or actually this is the 10th, as they go up. Cade Smith coming in, Canadian on the mound. He's got Kendall George coming up at the bat, but Dalton Rushing to start off here in the bottom of the 10th. Can we hold on? Can we win this World Series against a replacement catcher? Gets the strikeout. Down to the last batter of the Los Angeles Dodgers series. 3-2. Kendall George, in his first plate appearance, gets it just over Varsho's head and is able to get the double to get onto second base. Cade Smith struggling a little bit here, but he still has the chance. He's one of the best relievers in the game. We just need to make sure that we give him that shot. So Shohei Ohtani up next. This is what everybody would want to see. Bottom of the 10th inning in LA in an elimination game in the World Series. Cade Smith, one of the best closers in the game. Shohei Ohtani, who's hitting .400 this postseason with 8 home runs. 2-2 count with the pitch. Ball fouled off as Shohei stays alive. 3-2. Kendall George on second. If a ball gets into the gap, this game remains tied. With the pitch, misses down low, but Kirk blocks it, so they don't get much, and George stays on second. Full count, Mookie Betts is on deck. Cade Smith winds up and delivers, but misses outside as we walk Shohei Ohtani to make it runners on first and second for Mookie Betts. But our manager thinks it's a little bit too much for Cade Smith. So we're going to take him out, and we're going to move on to a different reliever. Just need one batter. The best guy for Mookie Betts is going to be Will Vest. So no pressure, Will. Just bottom of the 10th of the World Series. Game on the line. Gets the foul ball to get a 1-2 count for Mookie Betts. The bottom of the 10th, runners on. As long as he can get him out, this game is over, and the Toronto Blue Jays are world.
Swing and a drive. Back there. On its way. Ball game.
We will see you tomorrow night. So Game 7, Dodgers can smell the blood in the water, and so we're just going to make it obvious. We're going to wear the Reds in Game 7, the Canadian jerseys, as they have Shohei Ohtani on the mound versus Trey Savage. Now, this game was a pitcher's duel. Outside of this one in the beginning, Shohei Ohtani gives up a little single right over Mookie's head to Otto Lopez, which thought maybe this would be a good offensive game as he does steal second. We're unable to really make anything happen. But at least from our side, our pitching has been awful all year, but not tonight. Trey Savage came out guns blazing, striking out the first 6 batters, and then going into the top of the third, bottom of the third, and getting another ridiculous strikeout to start off by striking out his first 7 batters. But offensively, we couldn't do anything either. Top of the 4th, we're getting struck out as well. Shohei Ohtani is feeling confident. Both pitchers pitching gems, as we had a perfect game going, he had only that one hitter going. Trey Savage against Shohei Ohtani, bottom of the 4th, gets him swinging on a nasty pitch, continuing his perfect game until he gets to Mookie Betts, who does get the ball just into a gap to end that perfect game bid. And a lot of pitches thrown in this one. Mookie Betts has been killing a lot of our momentum this series. And then full count for Savage, does start to walk Paredes. His pitch count is starting to get really, really high here in the bottom of the 4th. He's pitching amazing, but he's already at 71 pitches by the time he gets to Ha-Seong Kim, who hits a ball right perfectly into the gap. They're going to run the bases. Addison Barger's going to throw it home, but he is going to gun him down, getting Mookie Betts as we end the 4th, getting the saved run. Addison Barger saving Trey Savage's day by getting this, as Kirk just able to put down the tag on Betts. And with the floodgates open, it was our time to shine, and who better than Ernie Clement? 2-run shot on a deep home run out to left field to take a 2-0 lead. Our hero this series coming in clutch as we would take the lead. I can't say win, but we take the lead in the top of the 5th in this one to go up to 0. Following him up right beyond that is going to be Edward Julian in the top of the 5th, who's going to hit a deep shot of his own just over the outfielder and out of here. The Canadian making it an extra 4th home run as we take a 3-0 lead as we finally start to be able to hit off of Shohei Ohtani in this one, forcing him out of the game. Huge for us as we take a 3-0 lead in the 5th. The role players came to play in this series, and I have to give as much credit as I can to Edward Julian. But we're going to give our shot to Will Vest to try to redeem himself here in the 6th, as Savage was done. Once again, calling a little early. We called out Cade Smith too early in Game 6 for Will Vest. In this one, hoping we don't call him out too early. But he does strike out the side, getting out of the 6th before facing off against Mookie Betts, hoping he can get his redemption. In a 2-1 count in the bottom of the 7th. Yep, Betts did it again. It's time, Vest. That's probably the last time you are ever going to be wearing a Toronto Blue Jays jersey. I don't know if the fans could ever look at you as somebody who we want to see again. Thank you for your service, Will Vest. Varsho and Okamoto were the big pieces earlier in this playoff run, but in this one, Ernie Clement really made himself known as our franchise pillar with a double and a stolen base to get on to 3rd before Otto Lopez came up, hits a ground ball over to Jonah Bride, who can't field it correctly, and Otto Lopez, a fast runner, just has to outrun Emmett Sheehan, and gets to first base to take a 4-1 lead. So as we go to the bottom of the 9th, Cade Smith vanquishes the dragon that is Mookie Betts, who has been killing us all series, before Isaac Paredes hits a huge shot to make it 4-2. And we can't make the mistake. Keep Cade Smith in this game. We have to make sure he stays playing. I don't want him to come out. So against Ha-Seong Kim, hits a grounder to Julian to make it 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th of Game 7 before we go to Stephen Kwan, the last batter, if we can get out, as he hits it up deep center, and Dalton Varsho finds it in his glove. The Toronto Blue Jays are World Series champions. It was a long run. Honestly, this season was kind of miserable. From a defensive and a pitching statement, we were terrible for a lot of this year. But when it came to playoff time, the offense woke up. The pitching staff did just enough to be able to support just how good our offense is. We're in a weird position with a lot of our players, but wow, we're able to get the title over the Dodgers. It's funny because we weren't necessarily big underdogs in the AL, but once you include the Dodgers in it, we 100% were. But really, this team is built on defense, and everybody stepped up to play in this series. I mean, even some of the worst batters. Santander hit poorly throughout this series, but hit big home runs in one of the games. We had great defense from Otto Lopez and Julian and Varsho. Barger with the huge play, even though he was struggling offensively. We can thank a little bit of the injuries, maybe to the Dodgers as they lost Will Smith and Andy Pages, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, 2028 goes to Toronto. World Series MVP is Kazuma Okamoto after just a ridiculous postseason. Wasn't the playoff MVP that goes to Dalton Varsho. Those two guys were phenomenal this postseason. Such pivotal pieces to this team. But we did talk a little bit about possibly trading Okamoto. And there is not a higher value point than coming up with a World Series MVP than right now. I don't know if I want to trade him, but I think it just makes a lot of sense considering his $15 million, 2 more years of control, and we've got other pieces.
Now, we took a lot of a different strategy for recording that off-season than most of my other videos, so hope you like that. Let me know in the comments if you're a big fan of this like post-con with all the gameplay. So you can see, offensively, across the board, our team had some ridiculous players like Okamoto. Varsho played really, really well. Santander get the home runs, what he needed. Clement struggled, but got the big play at the end. Julian was great. Offensively, we're phenomenal in this series, and our pitching staff did just enough. Headlined by Savage and Bieber, really, in this series, and Flaherty playing through the line drive off his foot. But we're going to have to make some decisions this offseason. We talked about Okamoto potentially being somebody who is on the outs. As a World Series MVP, you could totally trade that as a piece. Santander, maybe you could trade him because he played so well in this series. The pitching staff is a huge question mark. Look, we're never going to be able to pay Dylan Cease or get rid of him on this contract. So we're going to convert him to a reliever. He's going to be a $30 million a year reliever because he can't seem to do anything else right. And that might be overreacting, but you're not going to be able to get rid of this contract, and I still want to provide some value. It's not like it's Chris Bryant. He's not terrible. He's not worthless. But maybe this is more of that David Price situation where you just have a super bloated pitcher contract and you just kind of give him the opportunity you need because you're on a contender. You can't start him. So I think he's going to be a reliever for us, which means then we're going to need another pitching spot. Barrios is going to be gone. I don't know if I'm going to keep and go after anybody else. Maybe we're going to flip Casey Mize or something like that too. We could try to fix that left field position with Santander as well. And Kellenberger is going to come up this year. I don't think I can wait on him too much longer. This guy is really, really good. He's performed so well in AAA. He's just got to come up next year. So we're going to have Bieber, Flaherty, Savage, and, maybe Mize, maybe Tiedemann and Kellenberger. We'll figure out where to go from there. And so we do turn Casey Mize into something. Last year of Andrew Abbott for the Reds. We're going to give up a couple of prospects in this deal in order to be able to get this done. Doesn't look very appealing to a lot of people, but Cortez was just recently drafted and somebody who they might find some value from. And the Reds are not good and not going to win that division. So we're going to be in a good position, I think. Andrew Abbott is just going to be a more reliable pitcher. Now I feel like we have our ace, which is going to allow me to confidently go in here and say you are a relief pitcher. We also trade off Kazuma Okamoto. I don't know if I like the idea of doing it, but he is a very expensive contract, and I probably could have got a little bit more in the deal, but I think it's just best to trade him at what is probably his peak value. World Series MVP, hit 400. Don't think he's going to do that again. And we're going to get Denzel Clark in this deal, somebody who I wanted to get and I think would be just, if anything, a great potential defensive outfield replacement.
or our left fielder, which is also something we could have him play that would be very, very useful. And we ship off Will Vest for Bobby Kershaw. In fact, they offered me Kershaw for Valenzuela straight up as this deal. And I don't want Vest in a Blue Jays uniform anymore. So good luck on Milwaukee, dude. I'm willing to give up on him because we have Walker Janik, who was a first-round pick in 2024, who I think is going to come up and be our backup catcher this year now that Connor Wong is gone. Also, the Dodgers did this because, of course they can. In free agency, they were like, you know what? We're not strong enough. So we're going to go get Josh Hader and Andres Munoz because then nobody else can have them. And so as we try to run it back, we're going to have a slightly different roster, even slightly different than I expect it is. We're going to have Andrew Abbott as our ace. Kellenberger is going to be up. I'm not going to bring Tiedemann up to start off. He had an 80 ERA in spring training. Not going to happen. Cease has moved to the bullpen this year. We signed another Canadian because I just can't avoid doing it. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm just addicted to adding Canadians to the Canadian team. As we add Matt Brash to our bullpen. And in the lineup we have now, we have got assets if we need to move anything, but we are going to have Denzel Clark out in left. Santander is going to DH against righties, and Juan Yepez is going to DH against lefties with Santander in left. You got to take a look. This right-handed lineup, Otto Lopez, elite defensive player. Alejandro Kirk, elite defensive player. For a first baseman, very good defensive player in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Great arm from Addison Barger. Elite defensive player, elite defensive player, elite defensive player. Good, but we obviously have Jimenez too if we needed to for an elite defensive player from Julian, who is playing second on the other hand. So we've got two platoons. This is ridiculous how good this defense is going to be this year. So the pitching staff should be able to perform at a decent level as we try to run it back. I also brought in Liam Hicks because Canadian. Which means in our current lineup, as we look at this year, we are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Canadians in this lineup. And hey, once he comes up and our Jack Connell comes up, which he could come up this year if he performs really well, 8 Canadians, because you can never have enough. Maybe I need to call Seattle and see what Josh Naylor's up to. Kellenberger gets rocked in his first start, giving up 6 hits and 5 runs to an 11 ERA in a loss in his first game against the Houston Astros. But he redeems himself, going 8 1/3 in his second game, taking advantage of his just high stamina, only giving up 2 runs in that to lower his ERA. If he can pitch for a lot of innings, our bullpen, he might be a protector of our bullpen, which, by the way, has a 1 ERA Dylan Cease in it now. You know, he's an 82 overall as a reliever. So he goes from 90, 91 to an 82 when you make him a reliever. But what I'm loving to see is our pitching staff now, finally playing at an elite level. 295 from Abbott so far, 195 from Flaherty, Bieber at a 3, Savage under a 2. Kellenberger might be struggling. But now, if our pitching staff can perform like this, I think we could definitely run it back. But we suffer a big injury early on in the season, losing Alejandro Kirk for 2 to 3 months with a broken foot. Looks like Hicks is going to be a good pickup to be our starting catcher now. And Walker Janik's going to get his opportunity to play anyways. So I was really excited about the potential of moving off Okamoto. We're going to make the right move. We're going to make a smart decision and use our cheap assets, such as Juan Yepez, who I really want to succeed. And he was so good in AAA, and he was good in the postseason. We're like a month in, and he's got -1 WAR. I can't do this. Seeing as we still have to cement our possible back-to-back as part of our goals, as well as develop a Rule 5 pick, we're just going to make this draft really quick. There's not a lot of guys scouted in the international market, and most of them were injured, and we do have the last pick. So, as long as we are able to get him, Mariano Gutierrez is a closing pitcher. He will be our first-round draft pick. And as we get to our pick at pick 30, he is still available. Now, there are some other interesting players. I've never really seen somebody with this profile before, from Amari Vizcaino, somebody who I might just take because I've never seen a profile like this before. He's not going to be good, but just an interesting player. But yeah, very, very easy. Mariano Gutierrez, probably be a 90+ potential, and another great bullpen arm. For only having one of these guys scouted, I think we did all right. The only guy we had scouted was Mariano Gutierrez, 92 potential. Not a single one of these other guys I had scouted. And that's fine. That's fine, because we were late in this draft and there was not a lot of assets to take. At the All-Star break, we are a half game behind the New York Yankees with a dominant offense, not as good at producing runs as they are. Just look at the slugging difference, but we're good at getting on base, which is really, really good. And our pitching staff has been so good this year. I think we've won 25 of our last 28 games. So yeah, we are red hot. And we have a lot of All-Stars to show for it. Trey Savage is an All-Star starter, coming off of his World Series win last year against the Dodgers. 9-2 with 103 Ks and a 2.54 ERA. But also, Jack Flaherty is also an all-star in the starting lineup with 12-3 record. Honestly, pushing for a potential Cy Young for him. What a great season for him. Cade Smith, not a good ERA, but we're really good. So he's got 25 saves, leading the way there with 47 strikeouts. We also have a few, I think the big one, Ernie Clement is an all-star at third base. We have turned a minor leaguer into an all-star. Okay, he did it himself. We didn't do anything. Beating out Bo Bichette to be the starter. Look, we said we needed to put a guy next to him to replace Bo Bichette. We've done it. And then our other all-star, Anthony Santander. No Vladdy. Santander in the DH spot has been raking this year. Going into the trade deadline, it recommends that we should be a buyer here, but I'm not really sure that we need to do a lot of purchasing. This team has been performing very, very well. Our lineup is doing really, really good. Our weak spot is Julian, I guess. I have him now at DH because I think that makes more sense, so Jimenez can play because he's at 304. Maybe a bench bat, but I don't really know if we need it. I have Kirk down there, actually. Kirk doesn't need to be there. Liam Hicks is just hot right now. So we don't really need anything. We can get some extra support. I think that's probably what we'll do. We'll search for maybe an extra just power DH bat just to be safe. And yeah, we've got the rotation. And we pick up our DH big bat from the Giants, Elliot Ramos. In the last year of his deal, we're going to give up a couple prospects, including the guy that we got in from the Brewers this offseason. Felipe Franco, low flyer. He's a lefty platoon, which is going to be something we really need. So he can platoon on lefties. He can obviously hit righties as well, but he's going to be huge for our lefty bats, which is something we are seriously lacking. Mainly because that was what Juan Yepez was supposed to do, and he was not doing it correctly. So this is what he's for. Now we have one challenge that we are very close to failing. I think we're going to fail it, honestly, this year. This could be a challenge that we're going to fail because I put a ridiculous sentiment on it. That was winning no awards, because I wanted to build this team around Vladdy. Ramos is leading the MVP race. Santander is second. Okay, let's say that their numbers go down a little bit normally, because they're not going to play to this level forever. And Ramos has just got that because the RBIs are up. And he's going to be hitting like 6th in our lineup. But Flaherty's number 2 in the Cy Young, and Savage is number 3. So that's not even including the batting title that we've already acquired before, which I was going to try to ignore. I know we have 2 of them. But then we're also going to be in the Rookie of the Year race. I know he's not right there right now. But Kellenberger's having a great year. He's a little cold at the moment, but he's up to a 79 overall. And what's really impressive is the 1.1 whip. This dude does not give up hits, and he doesn't really give up walks. Most of his runs are just because he gives up, I guess, extra base hits. He's been phenomenal, honestly, for us so far. And like the strikeout numbers are low. This is an ace. This is an ace. So the funny thing about this team is that essentially this is our all-in year, right? If I win these awards and we win the World Series, we fail a part of the challenge. But also, is this the only way that we could possibly win back-to-back? Because the window closes like next year. We lose Ramos, we lose Abbott, then we lose Santander. Obviously, Flaherty, Bieber, all of them are going to start regressing here soon. See, by 2031, they should regress. And we'll have a new group of guys in here. But, like, this is not much longer of a window as you think. Going into the last month of the league this season, trying to run it back. Yankees have a 2.5 game lead on us, because they are just pumping out runs this season. We've been a really good offense. We cannot deny how good of an offense we have been. But the Yankees 793 runs with a month left to play. This team is phenomenal offensively, but our pitching staff is definitely better than them. Hey, that pitching coach change last year, that was all we really needed to shift everything in a positive direction for this team. 98-64. We end up taking our division. We'll be taking on the winner of the wild card playoff game. And I failed the challenge. I already know it. And that's because we have award winners. Anthony Santander with the Hank Aaron. And MVP, Elliot Ramos, gets the MVP. Greatest deadline acquisition since CC Sabathia in 2008. I don't really know if you can get much better than that. An MVP at the deadline for basically nothing. He was an expiring deal, and we traded away a couple prospects. Decent prospects. Not saying they were bad prospects. They were all top 15 in our system. But yeah, that's an MVP season, 44 home runs, 146 RBIs. But if he didn't get it and he stayed in the NL, we would have had it anyways, with Anthony Santander with 49 home runs, 124 RBIs leading the way here, way above anybody else really in this race. Julio was next up. I think Josh Naylor was right behind him. So once again, it's going to be Seattle and us in this division. Juan Soto wins the MVP on the NL side, deserved it last year, got it this year. Cy Young does go to Max Fried for back-to-back years, beating out a great season from Trey Savage, who maybe a couple more wins, maybe has a shot, but I mean, still, he did lose the ERA race to Max Fried. Cy Young in the NL goes to Joe Ryan. I hate the Dodgers. I hate them. No batting title for us. That goes to Bo Bichette, former Tampa Bay Ray, former Toronto Blue Jay. We don't get the reliever of the year. 61 saves from Tyler Holton of the Seattle Mariners. They got Matt Swanson, who was a deadline acquisition for them, so for the Yankees. And Kellenberger just loses out to Jose Reyes, who was phenomenal for the Houston Astros. Not the Jose Reyes you think of. This is a first baseman who had 26 home runs. And we had some league leaders. Trey Savage led in winning percentage, and Santander led in home runs. Otto Lopez in doubles. Elliot Ramos in RBIs. Santander in slugging percentage. Santander in OPS as well. Honestly, I think in real life, Ramos would not have gotten the credit in the NL for that trade, or AL for that trade, because he was in the NL for the first half of the season. So Santander 100% deserves the Cy Young credit, or not Cy Young, the award-winning credit for this season, as he was second in home runs too, behind Juan Soto. Cade Smith, despite struggling at some points of the season, having a decent amount of blown saves in this one, 6 losses total, does end the season with 46 saves, 0.6 WAR. But the most impressive bullpen arms are the guys on top. Eric Lauer, 3 ERA in 63 innings. Cease, 3.6 in 63 innings. Matt Brash, 63 innings. Okay, so we're all pitching the same amount of innings. 3.13 ERA. And Soroka, 63 innings, 2.57. If we want to talk about trying to develop some sort of minor league pickup, Soroka was a minor league pickup, and a 2.57 ERA is extremely serviceable. Across the board, pitching staff, though, was phenomenal. Andrew Abbott with a 3.32. You see a 4.29 from Flaherty, but he did win 18 games. And Shane Bieber, who got more losses, had a 3.78 in this season. But Trey Savage, 2.76 ERA, 2.75 actually, in this season with a 1.1 whip and 3.8 WAR. He has finally become what we needed him to be. Last year, the pitching coach change flipped everything for him. He had a phenomenal postseason, and he's going to, leverage that into a great season this year, runner-up in the Cy Young, as what will probably be number 1 in the rotation next year. Kellenberger, 4.12. Not bad for a rookie. And lineup-wise, we were across the board very, very good. Even the guys on the bench, Denzel Clark, 9 home runs this year with a 2.56 average. I like picking him up. Schneider with a 2.9 was great. Julian was a great player there. Looks like, did they send down, who'd they send down? Clifford, I think? Janik? No, not really anybody noticeable. Maybe I think Clifford was the guy I had up. Liam Hicks is all right. But our starting lineup, once again, Lopez, 296, 291 from Vladdy, 301 with 49 home runs from Santander, 299 with 44 and an MVP from Ramos. Clement, another 300 season with 18 homers, 35 from Varsho, hitting 301. Barger was good with 17. Jimenez hit 274. And Kirk, 277 coming off the injury. Yeah, this team, the bats should still be there for this season. We basically replaced Okamoto with Elliot Ramos. Our ALDS as the number 2 seed in the AL again is going to be against the Kansas City Royals. Now, I'm going to get back to simming similar to how we did in the past. Once again, put in the comments down below if you liked what we did for the big playoff run in 2028. This year, we're going to go back to normal and just see how you compare how you feel about the two. So you'll see me simulating a little bit of game 1, and then we'll get to game 5 if we need to as an elimination game. But we do win game 1 11-4 thanks to a couple home runs from Jimenez and Vladdy and a bunch of other guys, and a great performance from Trey Savage in game 1. Now, we got to win the other one in Toronto in order to be able to probably win this and then win a game in Kansas City. I don't feel too afraid of this Kansas City team, but hey, things have gone wrong for us in the past. So Flaherty versus Keller in game 2, and then Bieber versus Cameron in game 3. I did put Abbott as the 4th guy, so I know that we're spending a lot of money on Andrew Abbott, but he wasn't that good this year, so I'm not that contested against it. So game 2 is going to be Flaherty versus Keller, and we do win 6-2 in that one, taking the victory before going to Kansas City, where hopefully Bieber can take down Cameron and we can win in 3 and get right to our Seattle series. We cannot, as Bieber takes the loss in 4 innings, 13.5 ERA, not a great outing for him. But Andrew Abbott is going to go against Pablo Lopez in game 4 in Kansas City. Please knock this out before we have to go to a game 5. He can. We are going to be taking on the Seattle Mariners once again in the ALCS. Returning to the ALCS to take on the Seattle Mariners, Trey Savage is going to be on the mound against 2-time Cy Young Award winner Bryan Woo in this one. Both teams very, very similar to what they were last year. Obviously, we added Elliot Ramos in replace of Kazuma Akamoto, who was essential in the 4-game sweep of the Seattle Mariners last year. Now, this Seattle Mariners team has 109 wins and added Wilyer Abreu to the team, as well as Hunter Brown. So they are a better team than they were last year, but we still hope to dash their dreams, as we have, interestingly enough, a rematch of the 2025 CS Championship Series again in this one. Not just us, we've obviously played Seattle every time, but in the NL side, you got Milwaukee versus LA, so whoever wins this one will go to take on the winner of Milwaukee and the Dodgers. Now, in this one, we dominated once again, winning 14-2 in game 1 behind a phenomenal game for Trey Savage and home runs for Santander, Kirk, Ramos. Think Jimenez hit one as well. Yeah, ridiculous game for us. Savage only gave up like 2 hits in this one, to one being a home run to Cal Raleigh, to go into game 2 where we have once again the advantage, taking a game off of them in T-Mobile. And so Flaherty versus Hunter Brown in game 2, and then Bieber versus Miller in game 3, and Andrew Abbott versus Savali in game 4. So their pitching staff might have gotten a little weaker, as I think Kirby's gone now too. So Flaherty versus Hunter Brown in game 2 is going to be a 0-3 loss. We don't get any run support in the second game in Seattle. Hunter Brown getting a great game there. Bieber versus Miller going home to Toronto, as Seattle has finally taken a game off of us here. We are going to win that one 5-4. Cade Smith gets the victory in 2 innings of play, beating out Tyler Holton and his 61 saves. Didn't save this one as we get the victory 2-1. Got to win another one. Andrew Abbott versus Savali. We have the pitching advantage, and we get the advantage. 3-1 lead. Kellenberger versus Bryan Woo, the rookie, going to go against the 2-time Cy Young Award winner to hopefully advance to the World Series. Not enough. No run support. Great game by Kellenberger. Let's see what Savage can do in Game 6 against Hunter Brown to advance to the World Series. Give it to me. We do. We'll be taking on the Milwaukee Brewers in the World Series. To the World Series, we have home field advantage against the 85-win, 6-seeded third team in the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers, a team that I think drafted pretty high not that long ago, because they honestly have not been that good. There's a lot of roster turnover in Milwaukee, where they're really not rolling with a lot of the same guys. Their core is the same. Terang is still there. Yelich is still there. Contreras is still there. Churios is still there. They got Grisham back as part of this team. Casas is on this team. Eugenio Suarez. It's a really strange looking team, but they still have their ace, Jacob Mizorowski, on the squad. And in game 1, we got throttled by Jacob Mizorowski. 8 innings, 15 strikeouts, only 1 run scored thanks to Addison Barger. And hey, we played pretty well. Our bullpen kind of ruined this one. We still could have kept in it if Mizorowski wasn't doing that great. Barger hit a shot late off of it, but yeah, Yelich hit a home run off of us. Grisham hit a home run off of us. Not enough. We lose game 1. Guess we just like losing a game in Toronto here and there. But we're going to move on to game 2 here in Toronto, trying to win a game in Rogers Center. They got Brady Singer, who I guess has pitched pretty well so far this postseason against Bieber, who has not. Before we're going to go to Milwaukee, and they have Priester and Harrison, so it's a lot of like their actual players they have on their squad. So Bieber versus Singer in game 2 is going to go to us. We're going to get the victory. Porter Hodge gets the win over Jared Koenig, who is part of it. So we win 1. We do have to take a game off of them in Milwaukee. I think we have the chance to. Abbott versus Priester in game 3 is going to go to us. 5-1 victory over Quinn Priester. Andrew Abbott getting the win 2-1. The defending champs, Kurt Kellenberger, beat Kyle Harrison in game 4 to go up 3-1. He cannot. Kellenberger loses. You know, we said we didn't want to see Will Vest in this series anymore, and we did. We lose to Will Vest as part of the Milwaukee Brewers. Kenya Savage win game 5 to go up 3-2 on the Brewers, or are we going to fall behind? Elliot Ramos gets injured. He's going to be out, but we get the victory, so we win 8-5. Eric Lauer gets the win, former Brewer, against Brandon Sprout. As we're going to go back to Rogers Center with no Ramos. Flaherty versus Mizorowski, a rematch of game 1 for an elimination to potentially win back-to-back World Series. With no Ramos, we are going to move to Julian and Denzel Clark as Jimenez is not able to hit for game 6. Hopefully Denzel Clark, the Canadian, can come up clutch in his home country. And so, game 6, Brewers Blue Jays to win back-to-back World Series in this one. I am a little bit scared of Mizorowski in this one, but I think we're going to have a good shot here. Obviously, we're going back to normal. We're going to jump in every single time we see a runner on base, actually, this time. If we get a man into scoring position, we're going to watch that at bat. Though I'm going to cut it up a little bit differently than I did in the past, so maybe not as much live reactions as you're used to. Here we go. Grisham versus Flaherty. Let's start this game off good with a flyout. Yelich gets the strikeout. Contreras gets a single to get on base for Eugenio, who flies out. So Mizorowski versus Otto Lopez, who's got 3 RBIs and 2 stolen bases so far in this one. Ground out there. Vladdy has been leading the way, hitting .350 for us, who walks to get on base. Strikeout from Santander, and Barger hits him in with the double to take a 1-0 lead on Mizorowski. Already our first hit there. Barger is hitting Mizorowski pretty well so far in this one with a man on second. We won't jump in here because it was just a double, and we get a fly out there. So Flaherty versus Churio is going to be a strikeout. Terang strikes out, and Casas flies out. Bottom of the second, Mizorowski versus Varsho. Varsho gets on with a single before a flyout from Julian, a pop-out from Clark, and a fielder's choice to get nothing. Going to the top of the third, Flaherty versus Max Muncy is a strikeout. Ground out from Frelick, and a strikeout from Grisham. What a game from Flaherty to start. Bottom of the third, Otto Lopez versus Mizorowski. Fly out there. Vladdy gets a flyout, and Santander gets nothing. For the top of the fourth, we have Flaherty starting against Yelich. Ground out. Walk for Contreras to get on first base before Contreras steals second for Eugenio. 3-1 count. It's going to be grounded over to third. Clement's going to knock it down, but I don't think he's going to get him. So Eugenio gets a nice little single and is going to be on first base. Churio's going to pop it up into the gap. Try to get the ball down. Actually, that's not going to the gap. Churio takes it yard. The Brewers take a 3-1 lead with a Jackson Churio 3-run home run that just kind of stayed in the air. And it was enough for the Brewers to get a run. That ball only went 390. It barely gets over the fence. That did not look like it was going to be a homer, but it gets over there into the crowd. So going to the top of the fifth now. Max Muncy versus Flaherty gets a double to get on base. Frelick strikes out. Grisham gets a single. Runners on the corners for Christian Yelich. And he's going to hit a line drive right to Vladdy, who taps him down. We get out of the jam. Vladdy with the quick flash of the glove to stop Yelich from scoring. Going to the top of the seventh, Jack Flaherty versus Bryce Terang with a ground out. Strikeout for Casas. Muncy grounds out. That'll probably be the end of Flaherty's day, but a great game outside of the 3-run shot from Chourio. Can we get Mizorowski out of this game? Clement, strikeout. Varsho gets a double. We got a man on. This might be our chance. It's down to Edward Julian. Swing and a miss. Edward Julian goes down. Mizorowski with his 6th strikeout on the day. Our Canadian unable to find the bat, but we got another Canadian coming up after him, hoping that he can score. Not like Denzel Clark's much of a bat, but maybe he'll be just enough with the speed. We got to get Mizorowski out of this game, but he is pitching a gem. It's going to be really hard to do it, but Clark's hitting 400 so far. 0-2 count for Denzel Clark here in the bottom of the 7th with Varsho on second. He goes, strikes out. Hopefully that's the end of the day for Mizorowski, because we need it to be. Still down 2 in the end of the 7th. See what we got. Michael Soroka on the mound versus Sal Frelick in this one here in the top of the 8th as Flaherty's day is done. Can we continue the greatness he had? And Soroka had a great season for us. Fly out for Frelick, but a solo shot from Trent Grisham is going to make it 4-1. Milwaukee, strikeout from Yelich and a ground out. Please take Mizorowski out of this game. The Brewers are going to go to Jared Koenig, giving us a chance. Alejandro Kirk gets a ground out. Otto Lopez with a solo shot as we finally respond now that Mizorowski's out of the game. I think I have a better shot in Game 7 with no Miz in this one, but maybe we can win it here. Vladdy grounds out. Ground out from Santander. We're going to have to go to the top of the 9th. I think we'll keep Soroka in. Strikeout. Single from Chourio. Ground out puts Chourio on second in a single, but he gets thrown out. As we're going to go to the bottom of the 9th here in Game 7 against Abner Uribe, who is also a phenomenal player. Fly out from Barger, fly out from Clement, and a pop out. We're going to Game 7. Back-to-back years, back-to-back Game 7s against the Milwaukee Brewers this time. We're going to go with Andrew Abbott. And look, this series has been one where we have gotten all 3 losses just to being absolutely shut down by Milwaukee's phenomenal pitching. We're hoping that Brady Singer is not going to be the one to do that today, and it's going to be Andrew Abbott instead. Now with a lefty lineup, it means that they are going to run a couple different players, as we're going to see Jesus Mate and Taylor Ward, as well as Blake Perkins in this lineup. So the hope is that Andrew Abbott, who I'm putting in instead of Shane Bieber, is going to be the right pick. Now, we can obviously go to Dylan Cease if we need some strikeouts. We've got great bullpen arms, and everybody besides maybe Soroka should have energy for today. So, starting off Game 7 against Bryce Terang with a strikeout. Contreras pops out. Chourio gets a double to get on base for Eugenio, who gets a single, but Chourio thrown out at home. So, we get out of the jam, and we're going to go to Otto Lopez to lead off against Brady Singer with a flyout. Vladdy, solo shot. We take a 1-0 lead. I don't think we were going to do that against Miz, but Brady Singer gives up the home run. A pop out from Santander. Barger gets on with a single and a ground out to make it 1-0 going into the top of the 2nd. Taylor Ward versus Andrew Abbott to start off the top of the 2nd is going to get a double before Casas strikes out. Yelich gets a ground out and Mate grounds out, getting out of the jam once again. Bottom of the 2nd, Brady Singer for Dalton Varsho ground out. Julian grounds out and Clark gets a single to get on base. I'm going to steal 2nd. And we do to get a man on 2nd for Alejandro Kirk, who is going to fly out and get nothing out of it. Andrew Abbott now against the bottom of the lineup. Blake Perkins going to get a single. Terang gets a stolen base as well. This is a fast runner. Let's see what he can do to defend these 3 outs. That ball is going to get over Otto Lopez's head. I don't think we're going to get enough. I don't think Santander can get that home. Not in time. 1-1 game after the RBI double from Bryce Terang to bring Blake Perkins home. Terang going to steal 3rd off the wild pitch, but gets thrown out by Alejandro Kirk. No runners on. Good way to stop it. Kirk, that pitch got a little too far inside, couldn't handle it, but still was able to throw out Bryce Terang, probably saving us from what could have been a very, very bad inning. Contreras is going to get the single, though, right through the gap to get back on to first base. Though I'm going to go back to quick manage. This team is a little scary right now. Abbott's given up 6 hits already by the top of the third, and a single puts Churio on first and second for Eugenio, who gets a single, and bases are loaded for Taylor Ward. So far, our only out of the inning coming from an Alejandro Kirk throwing out Bryce Terang. We need a little bit more. I don't know why Abbott's struggling so bad. He's got bases loaded here. Taylor Ward was pretty bad, actually. When I was looking for lefty platoons, Taylor Ward was on my radar, but he was hitting 194, so I had no interest in him at the deadline. We picked up Ramos, who ended up winning the MVP. Instead, I think that ended up working out. Though, at this point, Taylor Ward is on the Brewers. Ramos is not on our team. That ball's going to go high, 2-1 for Abbott. As Ward, basically, if we can get a little grounder, I don't think Eugenio's fast enough at his advanced age here in 2029 to get to second, so we could get a double play out of this. We've got the defense, but Abbott's got to calm down, man. I don't know what's going on here. This is a really good pitcher. He has performed pretty well for most of the season, not as great as I would have liked, but still decent, as he's got full count and does force the foul ball for Taylor Ward. In this bases loaded scenario, can he get him out? He gets the swing and the miss. Taylor Ward goes down. I don't know who's up next, but that's going to be a tough one. Andrew Abbott is sweating here in Toronto. Tristan Casas comes up to bat here with the bases loaded. He's in 369 so far in this, I guess, World Series postseason. With the pitch, Abbott is going to get a pop fly back behind the plate. Don't think Kirk's going to be able to grab it, though. 2-2 count. Casas goes down on strikes as Abbott gets out of the jam with the bases loaded. I don't know how many more innings he's got. He's a little frustrated with himself for having that, but he does get out of the inning with the strikeout. Maybe we can get one more inning out of Andrew Abbott here. We've got a lot of guys. We can go to anybody if we need to. But what I'm looking to see is some offense here against Brady Singer. I think we've done pretty well, but offensively, or I guess our pitching has struggled a little bit here so far. Now, I've got a lot of guys in the bullpen that we can go to. It's not like everybody's pitching very, very well. Obviously, Cade is, but we can go to a lot of guys if we need to. We probably could go Cease. Cease kind of just got lit up in the first game where he came in, so I think we'll be okay. Otto Lopez starts with a ground out. Vladdy with another home run to take a 2-1 lead. 2 home runs from Vladdy so far tonight on Brady Singer as the Blue Jays run back in the lead. Santander grounds out, and an error gets Barger on first for Clement. Single, and on first and second for Dalton Varsho. Varsho had his best offensive season so far this year, hitting 300 with over 30 home runs. Can he get a ball into the gap? We'll take that ball in this 1-2 count against Singer. Everybody's on their feet here in Toronto, knowing that if Varsho can extend and create a little bit of space for Abbott, that would be a great spot. And that's that ball was right down the line. I thought there was a good shot, but that was taken foul. 1-2 count now for Varsho. Can he put Barger in at home with the pitch? That ball's going to go in the dirt. Barger is going to run back to second. I'm not going to test Contreras' arm. Well, I was surprised that Milwaukee was able to keep, actually. I think they paid him a good amount to be able to keep him, just like they've paid a couple other guys. Singer with the pitch. Gonna be lined out. Fair. That's gonna be down. Churio's gonna throw it in. That should be a double for Varsho. But he's only gonna get 1 run, as I don't know why Clement ran all the way from first on that. But still, 3-1 lead as we get the RBI double for Dalton Varsho here in the third. So with Christian Yelich up, Abbott, as long as he can keep his nose clean for this inning, I think that there's a good shot we can keep him in, but he has struggled a little bit so far. Already given up 8 hits in 3 innings. Can he get through this one against Yelich to start off with a pop-out? Mate with a fly-out. Perkins with a walk. Who's probably going to steal second for Terang. And a walk. I think that might be the end of Andrew Abbott. I'm going to go Dylan Cease. I need a strikeout against Contreras. Cease, give it to me. He gets the strikeout. We get out of the jam. That's the end of Andrew Abbott's day. Dylan Cease will probably go another inning for this one, as we're going to go to Julian against Brady Singer. Getting a solo shot, Edward Julian. Maybe we have turned a minor leaguer into a superhero. Julian with a home run in Game 7. That's just what he does. He hit a home run in Game 7 last year, as well as one in Game 6. Denzel Clark with a single to get on base. We're going to steal second for Clark, which is going to put we're going to put Kirk up, who's going to get on first and third. 4-1 lead, no outs, runners on the corners, but Lopez is going to hit it right to first. Double play, but we're going to get an extra run in from the double play. Wish we didn't, but hey, we got on that first base with an error, so we'll take the defensive mistake to end up giving us a run here at the end of it. Still, Vladdy up with 2 home runs against Singer. They're going to keep Singer in for a third time against Vladdy. I want to see it if he can hit one this time. Pitching around Vladdy, he's going to walk him in 4 pitches to put him on first for Santander. Swing and a miss. Santander goes down. Singer gets out of the jam, but not without a lot of damage being done. We got Abbott out early. They did not bring out Singer in time. 5-1 lead, Toronto. Now the big question for us is, can this bullpen hold up for the next 5 innings? Dylan Cease going to start this one here against Churio with a strikeout. Suarez with a strikeout, and Taylor Ward with a strikeout, striking out the side. Dylan Cease, you've been made into a reliever for a reason. You're like my Mason Miller. Addison Barger versus Ryder Ryan, actually, as they do move to their bullpen. Barger strikes out, Clement grounds out, and Varsho strikes out. It's a bullpen game. We could go to a lefty, but I don't know if Eric Lauer is going to be as reliable as Dylan Cease here at this point. We get the strikeout. Solo shot. Yelich makes it 5-2 as he hits one off of Cease. And a flyout from Mate and a strikeout for Perkins. That'll be the end of Cease's day as we'll go to the rest of our bullpen. Give me 1 inning of Bieber. I don't know if I trust all my bullpen arms. Flyout from Terang, single from Contreras, strikeout for Churio, and a strikeout. So we get enough as Aaron Ashby is on the mound for Otto Lopez, who gets a ground out, Vladdy with a ground out, and Santander with a ground out. Top of the 8th, we're going to make the pitching change. We are going to go to, I think, Matt Brash in this one. Another Canadian going to go against Taylor Ward to start off, who can really only hit lefties, and apparently Matt Brash. What am I talking about? Casas versus Brash is going to fly out. Yelich gets a walk, man on first and second against Jesus Mate. That ball's going to be grounded over to second for Otto Lopez. Throws it over to Julian, who gets it to first. Bang, bang, double play. Matt Brash gets out of the jam thanks to the fantastic defense of this Toronto Blue Jays middle infield. Edward Julian throws it to first. We've got 1 more inning to go. It's time for the Canadian closer, Cade Smith, to come into the game in the 9th inning to close out Game 7 of the World Series. He has not given up a run yet this postseason in 4 outings. Cade Smith throws the dot. Perkins doesn't believe it. That's a strikeout, or is it? That's overturned by a hair. The ABS saving Blake Perkins here to make it full count in the top of the 9th. I thought we had the strikeout. Maybe we still do. Cade Smith with the pitch. He's going to miss low. Perkins going to get on base with the walk. Strikeout. Terang goes down on strikes with the inside fastball. That ball's going to go. It means we got a man on first. Double play is in play for William Contreras here with a man on first. Ken Smith, hold on. He actually wasn't given many opportunities to do so in the past as he drops that pitch in for a strike. 0-1 count for Contreras. This is our chance to win 2 straight, this time in front of our fans in Toronto. With that pitch, that's going to be grounded over to third, but it's going to get past Clement out to the outfield. And Santander can't field it. He picks it up. That ball's going to go down. But over to Otto Lopez. They do score a run on a double. Poorly fielded by Santander. It's 5-3 with Contreras on base. I want to see this running because so that gets through. Perkins is fast, so he was already going to third. And when Santander couldn't field it, he runs all the way home. 2-run lead. Error by Santander. So it's going to be Churio now with a man on second. He's already haunted us earlier in Game 6. Can we hold off on him this time? That was a meatball. That sweeper, 87 miles an hour right down the middle. Surprised Chourio doesn't take it. He's got a double and a single so far today. He had the home run in Game 6. That was huge for them. Can Smith make sure to nullify that? Against Chourio with a pitch. That ball is going to be a swinging strike and a miss. Chourio is better against lefties. Actually, most of this Brewers lineup is better against lefties. That's why I wanted to go righty Cade Smith. 0-2 versus Chourio with the pitch. That ball is going to be a swing and a miss. We're going to get out of the jam against Chourio. That's going to put up their last batter, their last chance. I don't know how many career home runs he's at this point, but it's going to be third baseman who, I mean, we're talking about how much time he's got left in real life. This is 2029. Eugenio Suarez is going to come up to bat in the top of the ninth with a chance. If he hits a home run, it's a tie game for the Brewers. That ball is going to miss low. 1-0 count. Cade Smith, just don't give up a homer. If you give up a fly, that's okay. I guess actually that would suck. I think they've got a good batter up coming up next. Actually, no, it's Taylor Ward. That's fine. With the pitch, that ball's fouled off by Eugenio Suarez. Taylor Ward does not scare me, though they might pinch hit him for somebody if they're smart. Suarez, 1-1 count. Swing and a miss. 1-2 down to their last pitch. The Milwaukee Brewers need some magic from Eugenio. They already got some so far from Jackson Chourio. Swing and a miss. Cade Smith strikes out Eugenio Suarez. And your Toronto Blue Jays are back-to-back World Series champions here in 2029. The 2028 and 2029 World Series champions. They went back-to-back in 92 and 93, and now here they are in 28 and 29, winning back-to-back World Series again. Thanks to the magic of a bunch of players. A bunch of Canadians, actually. Cade Smith getting the save at the end of the day. We are going to hoist that trophy once again here in Toronto, this time in front of our fans, as Vladdy might have come up short in 2025, but this time he is going to end up with 2 rings on his finger by the end of 2029. A fantastic defensive team in what was our last shot, really, with a lot of these guys. We're going to let a lot of them have to go. Elliot Ramos, thank you. You weren't here for the World Series, but thank you. Andrew Abbott, thanks for the 3.5 innings that we needed, or 4 innings that we needed. But we're going to get the win. Another trophy for us. The 4th World Series championship for the Toronto Blue Jays. Your World Series MVP goes to none other than Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a man who definitely deserves it, getting the trophy as well as the playoff MVP. A dominant performance this postseason from Vladdy to get us all the way there. He gets another trophy on his shelf. No MVPs for him. Actually, no real big trophies for him outside of the 2021 Hank Aaron Award and the Home Run Championship. But this time, he's going to get the World Series MVP. Now, the question is, will we be able to go back-to-back? I'm not going to stress out about it too much. It's not necessarily our focus here, especially because we are going to go and sell off a lot of this team. We are going to go a little bit further. I know that this is technically where a lot of times we end, but I would say at this point we have completed and failed several challenges. We've completed the back-to-back World Series. That was the hard one. We failed the awards because we did get a World Series from Ramos, so I think as a punishment we have to let a lot of guys walk without even getting qualifying offers or anything for it. We've drafted Canadians and had a bunch of Canadians on the team. We've drafted all international players, but we haven't really seen many of them come up. So I want to see some of these guys play. This is something that I think at MLB The Show 26, the development feels really, really slow. Maybe it's just that more of the prospects start really, really far off in this, so you don't really see them come up. It's a little bit different than real life. Maybe that's just me. It's only been a few rebuilds for me so far this year. But we're going to go just maybe a season or two more. Let Jack Connell play. We'll see if any of our other guys can come up and rebuild this team. And hey, maybe then we'll see. I do think that Edward Julian, Mike Soroka, and a couple of the other, I guess, I can't really say Ryan Clifford or the Rule 5 pickups were good, but our minor league pickups were good. We need to see if we can make one of those Rule 5 pickups into a starter potential All-Star, but probably not. We probably won't be able to as we go to the next season. Absolutely ridiculous offseason. I was going to do just one clip, but the Mariners got Glasnow in free agency and Andrew Abbott to add to Brian Wu, who they had to re-sign. So they re-signed Wu. They signed 3 90-plus pitchers this offseason. So our goal for 2030 and onward is to try to develop our young talent whilst also staying pretty competitive. We've got some older guys, but our team is really here to be a future, to see what we can build around Vladdy when he's older. And we need to make sure we do that correctly. There's a lot of times where many franchises who have, a superstar in their prime, they go all in, they fail, and then they have nothing when he's in the twilight of his career on a bad contract. I'm thinking about Miggy Cabs is the big one. But we are set up pretty well right now with 2 aces by 2033, when most of our guys on our team is gone. Apparently Juan Yepez will still be here. But we will have Jack Connell in center, Pedro Torres in right, JoJo Parker at short. And then we've got 3 good pitchers in Kellenberger, Yesavage, and Bateau, as well as Tiedemann if I re-sign Yesavage, which I'm going to do. That should be enough, I think, to build, but we still need a little bit more. So apparently we got to get another third baseman. I don't know if Ernie can last that long. And we need another outfielder. I like Jack, I like Pedro, but we need just a little bit more assets. So we're going to try to make a wild card run, maybe be a playoff team, get some production out of Connell, Pedro, and, well, Pedro's not going to play, but Connell's up this year. JoJo's up this year. And then we are going to try to move forward with those guys in mind and see if I can add a third baseman, another outfielder, just so that we can start to future-proof this team. Because of the international restriction that we put on ourselves, this is one of the first times where I feel like I do not have a number 1 ranked farm system. And we have done a pretty good job of trading players for assets to be able to compete. So a lot of our draft picks that we've had have not necessarily become anything. So we need to stockpile, get some players in here that can be useful. Let's get ourselves up to farm rank number 1. And we're starting off this season red hot. 3.17 team ERA with a 2.77 average, first place in the AL East. And despite us being in kind of competitive mode and being really, really good, we're going to trade and do a swap to get a prospect, knowing that I already looked at all the third basemen. I didn't like any of them in this draft. We're going to get Andrew Fisher as a future prospect, the Italian third baseman who was with Boston. Must have been the Tristan Casas deal. And we're going to give up Andres Jimenez. The Red Sox are really good. We are competing with them. We're giving them a better player. But I'm going to get Andrew Fisher to add to the farm system. Sneakily, I think we've got a good team here. Like, I know we haven't gotten rid of everything, but this team is still very, very competitive, despite the fact that we are starting a bunch of young guys and essentially trying to reboot this roster. And I think it's safe to say that we have turned these guys into serviceable players, as Edward Julian, Rule 5 pickup. I guess not Rule 5. He was a minor league signing, minor league contract we signed. He's hitting 342 at second base. Clifford's hitting 257. Not necessarily great yet, but Jack Connell, who's come up this year, hitting 272 with 4 home runs. And JoJo's got 4 home runs as well. A little bit worse, but still really, really good. This team is performing very, very well. And trying to replenish our farm system, we have a few players of mind. A starting pitcher, a left fielder, a third baseman, a second baseman, another starting pitcher, a couple outfielders, catcher. If we are able to get the guys that are on our board, all of these discovery players, then I think we're going to be in a position where we have replenished this farm system perfectly. 2 of the non-ranked guys that I had scouted that I wanted to take, Yusnil Ibarra and Theo Trejo, both go off the board before we are able to pick, which is a little disappointing as we do want to get both those players in. Because we are in a position where we need starting pitching to add to our farm system, we're going to take Julio Guerra first. I do think Brian Montez is probably the better player, but we are going to take the starting pitcher because there's not a lot of them in this draft class. With many of our players off the board, we're going to take Brian Montez now just to secure him with the second pick. And consider the farm system replenished. Not necessarily the greatest picks across the board with everybody. Julio Guerrero was a 90 potential. Montez was only an 84, but still a decent overall player. But Keith Fenner, what a swing on the top end of his potential range. For reference, when I look at a prospect like this, we found him at 67 and 97. The reason I knew he was at the top end of his potential range is when I scouted him. He had 0 speed, 0 steal, 0 arm, strength and accuracy, 0 sack bunt, 0 drag bunt, 0 contact, 0 vision. He had nothing. He was not going to be zeros. And he can play catcher, too. Montero, 85. Gutierrez was a miss. Another good first baseman. He's a 41 overall. You're never going to get there. And then Charles Knight here as a reliever. Still could use more starting pitching in the farm, I think. But now we've got another guy here. So we would be in position where next year we would draft another starting pitcher. At the All-Star break, we are one of the best teams in all of baseball. 62 and 34 with a phenomenal offense and a decent pitching staff. For All-Stars this year, we have Cade Smith as our closer, Alejandro Kirk, the catcher. We have Vladdy as a backup first baseman. He's actually playing DH this year. And then we have Santander as well in left field. Ian Happ has 34 home runs. So somehow, in the year that we sell off our team, decide to go with the rookies and all the guys on the bench that I wanted to give opportunities to, our Rule 5 pickups, our minor leaguers. We win 107 games. Hey, do you think that that's enough to say that we've done that challenge? We just got a guy who we signed on a minor league contract to a batting title. Edward Julian gets the batting title. Vinny Pasquantino was the MVP with 58 home runs for the Houston Astros. Ian Happ in second with the Tampa Bay Rays. Brian Wu gets the Cy Young for a third time with the Seattle Mariners. On the NL side, Will Smith gets the MVP, beating out Juan Soto this time. And Skubal gets back to the top, winning the Cy Young for the Padres. How did we, AL. 341? Yeah, that very handedly. 341 from Julian. That's crazy. That is so many. How do we do in Rookie of the Year? I think he got less opportunities. How many games he play? Jack Connell gets second in Rookie of the Year. He's up to an 82 overall. Played 99 games. Miguel Diaz played 100. Yeah, that's us. That's us. That's all us. So I think if I go to WAR, I'm going to bet you that we win that race. 3.2 WAR for Jack Connell. Miguel Diaz gets... Guess he did play more. 1.4. We get robbed out of what is a Rookie of the Year. We almost just got a Rookie of the Year from our Canadian first overall pick, or first round pick in 2028, and a batting title from a minor league contract. In the rotation, looks like Cade Smith had 51 saves. Great season there. Everybody kind of played all right. I mean, obviously, we're talking about eventually moving on from a lot of these guys, but Soroka, another one of those minor league guys, 346, 138. I think we did a good job of replenishing him. The older guys, Flaherty and Bieber, 413, 339. Kellenberger, 384 as he moves up. Savage had a terrible season. That's a huge regression, too. To go from 87 to an 83, he had an awful year. Tiedemann had a good year, though, to counter it. But the lineup is what I'm interested in, is we get 265 and 35 home runs from Santander. Off the bench, by the way. He platooned. Liam Hicks, 286. Andrew Pitt didn't play. JoJo Parker, 241 and 7 home runs. Didn't play that much because Julian just took the second base spot. That's why I moved off Jimenez. He was playing so well in the beginning of the season. He was hitting 380 in the beginning of the season. 21 home runs, 70 RBIs on the season. And he's got beat potential. And he went up to 89 contact? Ridiculous. From 255, that is a ridiculous improvement. He jumped 127 points in OPS from 2029. He jumped 5.5 WAR. This is huge. I mean, he was really good in Colorado in 2026. It's kind of crazy that we were able to grab him off of a minor league deal when he played actually pretty decent in Colorado. But yeah, what a deal. We got him $2 million. I signed him to an extension. He goes up to B potential. Vladdy, now a DH, 28 home runs, hit 300. Barger, 297, 24 home runs, 34 home runs, and a 290 average from Varsho. Clifford. He plays first this year, 286, 26 home runs. He has beat potential. Okay. Even if the Julian thing was not this is a success. We turned a Rule 5 pick. We raised his potential. He hit 26 home runs and 27 doubles, had an 800 plus OPS, was a valuable starter, and had 2.5 WAR. That's a success. Kirk 307, 25 home runs. Jack Connell 22 home runs, 270 average. A lot of power in that. I mean, it's not necessarily the most, but like for an all-around guy, it's gonna be great. Weak year from Otto Lopez, but another 307 year from Ernie Clement. So let's see if the 107 wins can win 3 World Series in a row. We're going to go quick here. It looks like our offense is the thing over the pitching staff. I mean, we have to play Seattle now in the first round this time as Houston beat them in that division. Tampa on the other side there. Looks like Milwaukee is still good despite completely restarting their roster. Flaherty versus Hunter Brown in game 1 is a 2-4 loss. Bieber versus Andrew Abbott in game 2 is a 5-3 victory. Going into Seattle, Kellenberger versus Brian Wu. Brian Wu's their number 3. Okay. When we win anyways, our offense is phenomenal. Can we win this other one in Seattle? Savage versus Glasnow. We can. We're advancing to the ALCS to take on the Astros. Tiedemann is going to start game 1 against Tanner Bybee, then Flaherty versus Ryan Nelson, then Shane Bieber versus Adrian Vasquez. This is another team that is built entirely based on their offense with Pasquantino as their big piece. Tiedemann in game 1 is going to get a victory. Then Flaherty versus Ryan Nelson does lose that one. Cade Smith takes the L to Uriel Rod. Hey, that's the guy that we used to have. Hey, we got rid of that guy. Shane Bieber versus Adrian Vasquez in game 3 is a 3-1 victory. Kellenberger versus Bybee in game 4 is going to be a 5-4 victory. We're up 3-1. Can we take down Colton Gordon and advance to the World Series for a 3rd straight season? Savage, broken nail. Okay, whatever. Does lose. Matt Brash takes the L to Uriel Rodriguez as we go back to Toronto for game 6. Tiedemann versus Ryan Nelson is a 1-6 loss. We got a game 7 to take on the Dodgers, who won their game 7. We'll quick manage. Can we advance to a 3rd straight World Series against the Houston Astros? What do they got in their lineup? Pena, Pasquantino, Burleson, Cody Clemens, Lennon Sosa, Cam Smith, Daniel Schneemann, Victor Scott II, and Dylan Dingler. On their bench, Lockridge, Correa, Parker Meadows, Corey Lee, and Luis Arraez. How the hell did this team... I mean, Pasquantino definitely deserved the MVP. How did this team win 93 games and push us to game 7? I don't know. Pasquantino, probably the reason. Ground out, strikeout, single for Burleson. Then we get a fielder's choice to get out of that one. Single for Julian to get on base. Walk for Vladdy. Fly out. Varsho, fielder's choice. Runners in the corners for Ryan Clifford, who grounds out. Flaherty gets a fly out. Ground out. Schneemann strikes out. Vasquez is going to give up a pop-up, fly out, and a pop-up. Double for Victor Scott to get to second. He can easily steal third. He's not gonna with a ground out. Pena gets a triple, though, as they take a 1-0 lead. 2-0 after the sac fly and a fly out. Ground out, strikeout for Julian. Single to get Vladdy on, but nothing else coming up behind it. Couple strikeouts before a double. Ground out, fly out. Single for Kirk, pop out. Single for Victor Scott, who steals second. Strikeout. He gets caught stealing. Shout out Kirk. Pena with a double and a strikeout. Still 2-0 game in the bottom of the 5th. We get a walk for Otto Lopez to get on base. We'll steal. Oh my God. He's so good at stealing, though. Fly out, strikeout. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Single, strikeout, single. Error, bases loaded. We're going to make the pitching change. We're going to get that free strikeout generally from Dylan Cease. He gets it. He gets it. 2 straight strikeouts to get out of that one. 2-0 still. Vladdy strikes out. Barger gets a double to get on base. Varsho flies out. Clifford grounds out. Nothing. Line out. Pop out. Fly out. Bottom of the 7th. Offense. Wake up, guys. Strikeout. Ground out. Fly out. Pop out. Strikeout. Bottom of the 8th. Ernie Clement. Brian King. Single. We got a man on. Julian flies out. Walk. Men on first and second for Addison Barger. We're going to bring in Anthony Santander as we jump in. Pinch hit. We just need a ball into the gap. Can he get it to possibly make it 2-2? 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. Brian King on the mound. This to hopefully keep us in the race That ball is going to be popped up. Foul. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. How did the ball end up in his glove? Okay. All right. We pop out. Nothing for Lennon Sosa. All right. Lennon Sosa. Fine. Varsho. Come on. He's hitting 130 right now. This postseason. 2-1 for Varsho against Brian King. Man on first and second. Hit a ball into the gap, man. 3-1 count. Ryan Clifford is on deck. Or take the walk. Then we can get a Ryan Clifford grand slam. With the pitch for Varsho. They're going to call that a strike, but he's going to go for the ABS. I don't think that was a strike. That didn't look like one. It touches the zone. So that is a strike, so it is full count for Dalton Varsho. With the pitch. That ball is going to get down. Clement is going to run around, and Clement should get home. 2-1 game for Ryan Clifford. Here in the bottom of the 8th, Varsho coming in clutch. Getting the ball right over the shortstop's head and getting the single to get on. Ernie Clement scores. We're still in this. They're going to make the pitching change. They are going to go to Adrian Morejon against Ryan Clifford, who's hitting .389, but does not have a hit today. With the pitch, that ball is going to be called a strike. 1-2 count for Ryan Clifford, who actually isn't hitting that great in this series, but hit really good in the Seattle series. 5 for 25 this series. 1-2 count with the pitch. He takes it right down the middle. Ryan Clifford strikes out. Just no runs. No runs. We're going to go to Matt Brash for Cam Smith. Single. Strikeout. Walk. Single. Bases loaded. I need some strikeouts. I guess we'll go... I mean, this is it, right? Who's the strikeout guy? I mean, it's Cade, so we're just going to go to it. Against Pena. Strikeout. Against Pasquantino. Fly out. All right. Down to the end. Here we go. Last 3 batters. Kirk, Connell, Lopez. This is it. Our chance to potentially go to 3 straight World Series relies on Alejandro Kirk, the rookie Jack Connell, and Otto Lopez in a down year. Kirk to a 2-2 count. You're in the bottom of the 9th against Adrian Morejon. He can hit the ball into the gap. He cannot. Kirk strikes out. 2 batters to go. Ken, the runner-up for the Rookie of the Year, Jack Connell, come clutch. He's hitting 182 in his first postseason appearance. That ball is going to be fouled off. 1-2 count for Connell. With the pitch. He is also going to swing and miss. Connell unable to connect. Leaving us down to our last batter. It's going to be Otto Lopez for the chance to return back to the World Series. This is it. That ball fouled. 2 strikes. Last strike for Otto Lopez. In the bottom of the 9th. Game 7. He is going to hit a ground ball over to second. And the Houston Astros are going to return to the World Series in 2030. Our season is going to be cut short. But what a successful season it was to go 7 games, 107 wins on a team that we sold. Good year. We'll be back. The Astros go on to defeat the Dodgers in the 2030 World Series, and that is actually going to be where we end it off. 7 games. They go, they win it. And we have accomplished every challenge we have set out to do. And I think with that last draft, we replenished our farm system just as well to be in a great position, essentially to... Oh, no, not all the way back onto the menu. But to get ourselves in a position where we're going to have a bunch of top prospects. We're currently the 5th ranked system, but we're going to add a bunch of guys this season. to help replenish our farm. And so that depth chart, this team that we end up looking at down the road, 2030, 2033, they're going to have a lot of pieces. Jack Connell, Pedro Torres. We are going to have Andrew Fisher at third base. JoJo Parker. Julian, we signed to an extension. Vladdy is regressing, but he'll be okay. He can play DH, and Ryan Clifford can play first base. We have the new guy, the third baseman we drafted, Kellenberger, Buteau, Yesavage, Tiedemann, and that new starting pitcher that we drafted, Guerra, plus a fantastic bullpen down the road with Julio Costa, Quinn Bliss, who we drafted a while back, Gutierrez, Hodge, Rico Silva, I think Guadalupe Taveras. Yeah, we've got so many pieces that are going to be really interesting. This team is set up for the future. Vlad, you will never be in a position where this team is going to be bad around you. You're 31. You already have 2 rings. You've made a couple ALCSs on top of that. You played for 11 years. And by the time that you say you're done, will you get to 500 home runs? Will you get 3,000 hits? There's a good chance that he could hit both of those numbers. What is his WAR when he's done? He's at 42. It's probably going to start going down as his DH. But what a great career so far from Vladdy. He's down to an 87, but I still think that he's going to have a good chance. We've done a great job of replenishing this team, of invigorating with young talent, with interesting talent, with minor league talent in different spots. Thank you very much for watching this. I know we've tried a bunch of different things inside this video, and it's been a little bit of time for me to get through these. I've taken a little bit long on this one, and we tried and experimented with a bunch of different things. So to reward you guys for waiting as well as for watching, what I want you guys to do, and this is something that if you're interested in it, in the future, we are going to start changing some prospect names. I think I'm getting a little bit sick of Psy being a name in this game. So if you decide to jump into the Discord down below in the description, I will post the next rebuild, the top prospect of each year, and you can help name these characters. We can name them after you guys as well. But jump into the Discord. There should be a lot of people talking about baseball. There has been talking about rebuilds so far, as well as other things, because, you know, I do other stuff as well. And you can get some other information about some rebuilds that are upcoming as we continue. I'm going to get back into it. We're going to get a little bit faster going. This is obviously a very long video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and adios.
Go home, get drunk, go sleep, wake up, move on, and get another one to run it up. Go home, get drunk, go sleep, wake up, move on, and get another one to run it up. Go home, get drunk, go sleep, wake up, move on, and get another one to run it up. Go home, get drunk, go sleep, wake up, move on, and get another one.